In ancient times, there was Yanghua who slept with his gugu. Now, a disciple forcibly possesses his master. The man pins the woman down on the bed, intending to engage in an act of passion with her. The woman's face is flushed red, her eyes glistening with tears as she tries to break free from the man's control. But the man has no intention of stopping, instead looking as if he's conquering a city. The woman wakes up from her own scream. It turns out it was just a dream. However, the woman discovers that her soul has transmigrated into a novel she once read. She has become the book's female lead, Luo Chu. In the book, she is a malicious master who does all sorts of evil things to the villain. On the surface, she is noble, aloof, and has an extraordinary air, but in reality, she is twisted inside, cruel, and ruthless. After transmigrating, she is also inexplicably bound to an orange cat. The system forces her to complete all the main quests of the malicious master. The moment the orange cat sees Luo Chu wake up, it makes her start the mission mode. At the disciple recruitment ceremony, she must take the great villain Lu Qingzi as her disciple. As a mother fan of Xiao Ji, Luo Chu firmly refuses, because she knows that once Xiao Ji successfully becomes her disciple, it will be the beginning of his descent into a place of eternal damnation. Besides, he has a murderous heart. Every man for himself, or heaven and earth will strike you down. Saving her own life is more important. But failing to complete the mission will trigger heavenly lightning, causing her soul to be scattered and destroyed. Luo Chu's situation is too tragic. This means she's doomed to die sooner or later. An unconvinced Luo Chu points at the sky and shouts, "If you've really got the guts, strike me dead with that heavenly lightning right now." The moment she finishes speaking, lightning flashes and thunder roars. A bolt of lightning tears through the sky and strikes the wooden table directly. The wooden table is instantly obliterated. Luo Chu and the orange cat are scared out of their wits. Wasn't it just a joke? Why did it have to get serious? Isn't it just about advancing the plot and creating a tragic atmosphere? Let's go. Time to do the mission. I love doing missions the most. Luo Chu's tears flow like a spring. The great villain, Lu Qingzi. Born with heterochromia, one blue eye and one yellow, he was seen as an ill omen. He suffered all kinds of humiliation and had a tragic childhood, yet he still maintained an upright and kind heart, until he became a disciple under Luo Chu of the Cloudtop Immortal Manor. From then on, it was the beginning of his fall into the abyss. All because he rejected Luo Chu. Luo Chu held a grudge. She soon took in a male lead, Xiao Chun, and then cast Lu Qingzi aside like a worn-out shoe, to make Xiao Ji stop defying her. Luo Chu ruthlessly crippled all his cultivation, then imprisoned him in a cell, torturing him day after day. Not only that, Luo Chu also mercilessly dug out his heart's blood, completely ignoring his heart-wrenching pain. In the end, Xiao Ji was forcibly pushed to the demonic path, becoming a bloody, cruel, and murder-addicted, unhinged great villain. Faced with what Luo Chu had done to him, Xiao Ji naturally paid her back in kind, and more. But in the end, he was tragically killed by the combined forces of the male and female leads, his body abandoned in the wilderness. Xiao Ji's life was so tragic. As a mother fan who transmigrated into the book, how will Luo Chu treat Xiao Ji? Greetings, venerable Luo Chu. Luo Chu and the orange cat arrive at the disciple recruitment ceremony. The sect master Yin Xin, the master of Tangshan Peak, Mu Qinghua, and Zhu Qianying are already present. A disciple reports that for the trial of the illusory maze, only one young man passed the test. They see a plainly dressed youth kneeling on the ground. Looking up, they see it's Xiao Ji. His blue and yellow heterochromatic eyes make everyone's expression falter slightly. The sect master rejects him as a disciple, calling it an ill omen, and issues an order for him to leave. Xiao Ji is flustered and at a loss, but I've never harmed anyone. Unexpectedly, everyone shuns him, eager for him to leave. To think that cultivators are no better than this. How are they any different from the people who bullied Xiao Ji? Xiao Ji angrily curses the crowd as pedantic and overconfident. Mu Qinghua strikes Xiao Ji to the ground with a single palm strike. A few of his ribs must be broken. She had originally planned to intervene at the most critical moment. That way, Xiao Ji would surely be more grateful. Good heavens, in the time it takes to drink a cup of tea, Xiao Ji is already beaten black and blue. If he's beaten to death, she'll have to die with him. Enough. Luo Chu shouts to stop them. She rushes toward Xiao Ji. Xiao Ji looks as if he has seen the dawn. The orange cat suddenly reminds her, your aloof persona can't collapse. After hearing this, Luo Chu's expression changes in a second. She coughs twice and says, so dirty. Xiao Ji is full of confusion. Luo Chu says with great disdain, don't touch me. Xiao Ji doesn't understand. She clearly wanted to save him just now. So why is she acting like this? Soon, Xiao Ji realizes that behind Luo Chu's cold exterior is actually a look of heartache. The corner of Xiao Ji's mouth lifts in a slight smile. Oh, that's how it is. I'm too dirty. I'll soil the immortal's clothes. The immortal is unhappy, so she won't hold me. Xiao Ji says pitifully, constantly wiping the dirt from his body. The blood from his wounds stains his clothes red. Tears fall uncontrollably. Seeing this pitiful sight, Luo Chu finally can't bear it anymore that you're coming with me. The world sees his blue and yellow heterochromia as an ill omen. They shun him. Little do they know, the true reason he is detested is his ability to see through people's souls, thus easily manipulating their hearts. If she had known the bloodletting ceremony would kill her disciple, Luo Chu definitely wouldn't have agreed. The ceremony begins. Looking at the small and weak Xiao Ji before her, Luo Chu's heart aches. He doesn't look like a 14-year-old boy. He needs to be properly nursed back to health. Xiao Ji tells Luo Chu that since he was born, people around him have called him Lu Yin. They couldn't even be bothered to give him a proper name. It shows how unwelcome he was. Yuji Junzi, Fulao 1/4 Changji. I hope you can be happy and successful in the future. Use good deeds to save the common people. From today on, your name will be Lu Qingzi. Xiao Ji is ecstatic. He throws his arms around Luo Chu. I love this name. Luo Chu is a bit taken aback, thinking to herself, villains these days are so easy to win over. Then she picks up Xiao Ji. If you won't take this disciple, I will. Everyone is astonished. As expected, words of opposition came flooding in. Throughout history, demon lords have all had blue and yellow heterochromia. Showing him mercy is already benevolent. Keeping him will only lead to endless trouble. Luo Chu seems lost in thought. The affairs of my Qingya peak, since when is it the business of people from other peaks to interfere? The female lead is truly domineering. The crowd is speechless with anger. At this moment, Su Baiyan, the master of Nanyue Peak, slowly walks over. Let's hold a bloodletting ceremony to ward off disaster, to eliminate the demonic source and root of misfortune in Xiao Ji's body. If he can survive this ordeal, it is the will of heaven. It won't be too late to take him as a disciple then. Are you kidding? He's a child with no cultivation at all. Luo Chu naturally disagrees, but then the system suddenly announces a mission to personally perform the bloodletting ceremony on Lu Qingzi. Isn't this just asking for trouble? Besides, this isn't part of the original plot that I'm willing. I want to stay by the immortal's side. Luo Chu hesitates. She knows the bloodletting ceremony lasts for 6 hours. How could Xiao Ji's weak body withstand it? In the end, Luo Chu agrees, and she will perform it herself, just so that Xiao Ji will no longer be bullied in the future. Drip, drip. Fresh blood slowly drips from the tender hand. Xiao Ji's bloodletting ceremony is underway. The crowd gossips about this heaven-sent disaster, wishing he would just die. But Luo Chu is on pins and needles. These 6 hours are an agony for her. The time is finally up. Luo Chu can't wait to take Xiao Ji away. At this moment, the system indicates the mission is complete. Luo Chu thus recovers 20% of her cultivation and is rewarded with 1 soul-returning pill. Xiao Ji has survived. Luo Chu hurriedly treats Xiao Ji, her brow furrowed, her face unable to hide her pained expression. From now on, Master will protect you. It doesn't hurt, immortal. Don't worry. After saying this, Xiao Ji closes his eyes. Could it be that Xiao Ji didn't make it after all? The new disciple she just took and secretly climbed into his master's bed. He's far too bold. Xiao Ji's apparent death throws Luo Chu into a panic. Even the orange cat doesn't know why. If Xiao Ji is gone, Luo Chu is finished too. What should she do? Luo Chu suddenly remembers the rewarded soul-returning pill. The main plot has just begun, and she already has to use an item. Isn't that too soon? Luo Chu has no other choice. She then feeds the soul-returning pill to Xiao Ji. Luo Chu can finally breathe a sigh of relief. Her own life is finally saved. This is so difficult. After an unknown amount of time, Xiao Ji wakes up to find himself in an unfamiliar room. Remembering the image of Luo Chu protecting him, he abruptly sits up and looks for for Luo Chu's figure. Xiaoji, you're awake. Luo Chu appears, carrying a bowl of medicinal soup, and concernedly asks about Xiaoji's wounds. The lonely Xiaoji has never felt anyone's concern before. Luo Chu's care is like a candlelight in the night, bringing Xiaoji warmth and hope. Xiaoji's eyes instantly well up with tears. From now on, he is no longer alone. He is now a little cub loved by his master. Xiaoji hugs Luo Chu tightly, acting spoiled. As a mother fan, Luo Chu's face is full of affection. This scene is so heartwarming. Xiaoji finally has a home. The two of them are about to start a new journey in life. Xiaoji is overjoyed. Thank you, Master. This disciple will be good to Master for a lifetime and never leave Master's side. He secretly vows in his heart, from now on, I will live for Master. No one but Master can let me die. At night, Xiaoji can't sleep, thinking about having someone who cares for him. He can't suppress the joy and excitement in his heart. With a crash, the bed collapses. How loud must that have been? A mere boy broke the bed. Never mind, I'll just go find Master. Xiaoji comes to Luo Chu's room and sees the orange cat sharing a bed with Luo Chu. How dare you compete with me for Master? He unceremoniously picks up the orange cat and tosses it behind him as if throwing out trash. A moment of silence for the poor cat. After clearing away the clutter, Xiaoji quietly slips into Luo Chu's quilt. Surrounded by Luo Chu's scent, he falls asleep contentedly. Is this how a master and disciple should interact? Unbeknownst to her, Luo Chu spends the night sharing a bed with Xiaoji. She wakes up from a heavy sense of pressure to find Xiaoji lying on top of her. Luo Chu is completely baffled. Xiaoji, however, is sleeping soundly. What am I thinking? He's still just a child. Just as she's about to move Xiaoji away, he hugs her even tighter. He's so clingy. After much effort, she frees herself and prepares to leave. Master, where are you going? Luo Chu gives him a pat on the head, feeling very fond of the clingy little cub before her. Lacking a sense of security, Xiaoji is afraid that Luo Chu will leave and not return. Luo Chu encourages him to go to the back mountain to cultivate. Xiaoji obeys his master's command and cultivates alone. Unexpectedly, he runs into disciples from Xuanyu Peak. Xiaoji ignores them. The disciple, Zichu, was already unhappy that Xiaoji could become Luo Chu's disciple. Now, Xiaoji's attitude infuriates him. Taking this opportunity, he starts to make things difficult for Xiaoji, snatching his cultivation manual and mercilessly tearing it up. Xiaoji's persona is that of a great villain. Provoking him like this, does he have a death wish? Just as the demonic nature in Xiaoji's bones is about to be awakened, the sound of Luo Chu's footsteps comes from a distance. Xiaoji gives a wicked smile and instantly switches to weak mode. Don't bully me too much. Seeing this, the power-abusing Zichu becomes even more brazen, viciously kicking Xiaoji to the ground. Afterwards, with a smug face, he curses Xiaoji for being born lowly and not being qualified to be Luo Chu's disciple. That he's not qualified to be my disciple? Then are you qualified? Luo Chu's appearance startles the group. Lu Qingzi, is this how you act as my disciple? Luo Chu is angry. Xiaoji's eyes are filled with tears, not knowing what to do. Luo Chu, with a serious face, tells him to give them a taste of their own medicine. Having received his master's permission, Xiaoji slowly gets up. It seems things are about to get interesting. Sure enough, Xiaoji clenches his fists, a right punch and a left punch knocking Zichu to the ground, followed by a flurry of invincible punches. The crowd is dumbfounded. Luo Chu, however, looks as if to say, this one is teachable. Beaten black and blue, Zichu starts begging for mercy. Luo Chu, standing to the side, coughs twice and says, Chengzi, stop. The secretly delighted expression on her face is almost impossible to hide. Only then does Xiaoji stop his attack. And Luo Chu, with her ruthless persona, naturally won't let them off easily. She orders Zichu and his group to be expelled from the cloud top immortal manor. The group protests. After all, they are not from Qingya Peak. But Luo Chu is a person who always gets her revenge, leaving no room for negotiation. After dealing with the group, Xiaoji throws himself into Luo Chu's arms, seeking comfort. Luo Chu says meaningfully, Lu Qingzi, I never take disciples. Since I've taken you as my disciple, you are the best. Xiaoji finally doesn't have to bear everything alone. Now, with Luo Chu's affection, he has a stable and solid sense of security. Xiaoji is brimming with happiness. Luo Chu takes Xiao Ji's hand. Let's go. Time to go back. Luo Chu tells Xiao Ji that she has gotten him a new bed. From now on, he doesn't need to go to her room anymore. Xiao Ji is a little disappointed to hear this. After all, men and women should keep their distance, and it's not proper for a master and disciple to share a bed. In the following days, Xiao Ji is diligent and hardworking in his cultivation, making rapid progress. He truly lives up to Luo Chu's expectations. In terms of daily life, Xiao Ji transforms into a little chef, taking care of all of Luo Chu's meals and daily needs, and managing Qingyao Peak in an orderly manner. He's truly a man who can do it all. The two spend their days and nights together, and their bond deepens without them realizing it. A year later, Xiaoji successfully establishes his foundation and goes down the mountain for training with an elder. Luo Chu is left alone and extremely bored. The days without Xiaoji feel like years. Luo Chu and the Orange Cat are constantly worried about Xiaoji, hoping every day for his early return and for the days of culinary freedom to be realized. The Orange Cat is a total foodie. Speaking of which, Luo Chu's strategy of building a good relationship is not bad at all. By raising Xiao Ji well, she can cling to his thigh in the future to save her life. While Luo Chu is still feeling smug, Master, long time no see. Your disciple has missed you dearly. After a 3-year separation, Xiao Ji has finally returned. The young man looks at his master with deep affection. The fervor in his heart almost makes him forget his manners. After a 3-year separation, the once skinny boy has grown into an exceptionally handsome young man with gentle features and a noble air. Master, I'm back. Lu Qingzi hugs Luo Chu tightly. His fervent longing for Luo Chu is about to overflow from the screen. He whispers in her ear, Master, I missed you so much. During these 3 years of training, I thought of you every single moment. Luo Chu blushes at these ambiguous actions. She gently pushes Lu Qingzi away, telling him he's a grown-up now and can't be as clingy and ask for hugs like when he was a child. At this moment, a young boy with a bright smile appears, carrying dishes. Master, it's time for lunch. This master catches Lu Qingzi's attention. Where did this little brat come from? Luo Chu enthusiastically introduces him to Lu Qingzi. Chengzi, come. This is your little junior disciple, Zi Gui. He's a new disciple I took in before the new year. You two should support each other from now on. Lu Qingzi's expression darkens slightly. He's not his master's only disciple. The thought of this makes him dejected. Luo Chu is completely unaware, still immersed in the joy of reuniting with her boy. Lu Qingzi's mood plummets to rock bottom. He says coldly, I'm a bit tired. I'll go back to my room to rest first. Luo Chu is somewhat baffled. Is this still her incredibly clingy disciple? They haven't seen each other for 3 years. How did they become so distant? After that, Lu Qingzi continues to manage Qingyao Peak, handling matters cleanly and efficiently. He is also very attentive to Luo Chu's daily needs. However, his attitude towards Luo Chu is uncharacteristically different. He speaks less and isn't clingy. This worries Luo Chu to death. If this continues, she's afraid she won't be able to cling to his thigh. No, she has to quickly coax this proud disciple. Luo Chu, with a fawning expression, actively starts conversations, trying to cultivate her relationship with Lu Qingzi, who knew she would be met with a cold shoulder. Lu Qingzi ignores Luo Chu's enthusiasm and turns to leave. Luo Chu is very melancholic. Is it true that a grown-up son is no longer close? So cold and heartless. The Orange Cat advises her not to guess the villain's thoughts, but to just go along with him. That's the only way to ensure her life is safe. The bamboo forest on the back mountain rustles. A disheartened Lu Qingzi takes out his frustration on the bamboo. His sword moves like a roaming dragon. His body is light as a swallow. Falling leaves scatter. Senior brother, you're amazing. Can I practice with you? Before Zi Gui can finish his sentence, with a whoosh, a sword scabbard flies towards him like lightning, heavily embedding itself in the bamboo next to Zi Gui. The smile on Zi Gui's face gradually stiffens. He cautiously hands the scabbard over and asks, Senior brother, do you not like me? Lu Qingzi replies expressionlessly, no. How could someone who's competing with him for their master get a pleasant look? Who knew that Zigui would beam with joy? But I really like you, senior brother. Master used to tell me that senior brother is not only handsome, but also works hard in cultivation. You could do everything well. He practically treats Lu Qingzi as a role model. Lu Qingzi, who was about to leave, suddenly stops upon hearing this. He asks eagerly, did Master really say that to you? Yes. Master also said that although senior brother suffered a lot as a child, you are a very, very good person, Zigui says, beaming, gesturing with his small hands as he speaks. He stretches his arms as wide as he can, just to show how good his senior brother is. This adorable gesture instantly captures Lu Qingzi's heart. The bond between them warms up in an instant. Learning his place in his master's heart, Lu Qingzi brings hot tea to her door to apologize. Inside, Luo Chu is taking a nap, dressed in thin green gauze, as beautiful as a flower. Willow-like brows and phoenix eyes, a lovely beauty. Looking at the sleeping Luo Chu, Lu Qingzi says in a soft voice, Master, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have deliberately been cold to you these past few days. But how could you take someone else as a disciple without saying a word? Lu Qingzi's love for Luo Chu has long surpassed the bond between a master and disciple. He gazes at Luo Chu with deep affection, his hand gently tracing her cheek, slowly stopping at her red lips. Master, I want to kiss you. The fervor in his heart makes Lu Qingzi disregard the so-called proprieties. Although he knows Luo Chu dislikes insubordination, he can't help but want to be close. Because this disciple wants you, I want you to belong only to me. The soundly sleeping Luo Chu finally wakes up. This nap has made the orange cat extremely anxious. The system mission prompt has been up for a long time. If she doesn't complete it soon, there will be a missing persons report. Luo Chu opens the mission prompt. She must have a drink with Lu Qingzi under the moon and use the Hanshun powder on him. What? Drugging the black-bellied, unhinged, great villain? Is this crazy? Is this crazy? But once a mission is issued, it must be completed. Otherwise, heavenly lightning could strike at any time to oh, what if I have to drug him? What's there to be afraid of? I'll go, all right? You only know how to scare me with heavenly lightning. This trick never fails on Luo Chu, who cherishes her life like gold. Qingzi, open the door. Master is here to complete the mission. But after knocking for a long time, there's no movement. Is he not in his room? Luo Chu gently pushes the door open. Qingzi, I'm coming in. She sees Lu Qingzi, half naked, lying on his side on the bed. Worried he might catch a cold, Luo Chu quietly approaches, wanting to cover him with a quilt. Just then, Lu Qingzi turns over. His face is like jade. His 8-pack abs and muscular physique are fully exposed. He even mumbles in his sleep, Master, your disciple likes you so much, letting out rapid breaths. Good heavens, he's having an indecent dream while hugging Luo Chu's clothes. Lu Qingzi finally wakes up from his beautiful dream. He groggily opens his eyes, flustered by Luo Chu's sudden appearance. After all, he was just making love with Luo Chu in his dream, and he was caught in the act by the person herself. This is a scene of utter social death. Luo Chu coughs awkwardly, sorry to disturb you. She then tries to flee this mortifying scene. Who knew Lu Qingzi would grab Luo Chu's hand? Master, don't go. Faced with this passionate Lu Qingzi, Luo Chu can't quite handle it, her face flushing red. Qingzi, let go of me first. No, I like you, Master. Lu Qingzi says affectionately, holding Luo Chu. He's the unhinged great villain. If Luo Chu felt even the slightest bit of affection, she would be instantly destroyed. Qingzi, you're being insolent. As she pushes Lu Qingzi away, with a clatter, a small bottle falls to the ground. That's the Hanshun powder. If he finds out, it's going to be a huge problem. Lu Qingzi picks up the bottle. It's over, it's over. My image is about to be ruined. Lu Qingzi smiles wickedly. Master, are you planning to use Hanshun powder on your disciple? Being exposed for this embarrassing matter on the spot, Luo Chu says, exasperated, get it back to me. It's not what you think. Master is lying. Lu Qingzi's hand gently traces Luo Chu's ear. This Hanshun powder clearly fell from Master's sleeve. This is the first time Master has lied to your disciple. Luo Chu's heart trembles, her expression a little flustered. What do you know? Lu Qingzi is calm and composed. His finger traces Luo Chu's hairline. Master, do you know why people fear those with blue and yellow heterochromia? It's because they can see people's souls. No one wants to be seen through. It's terrifying, isn't it? Luo Chu freezes instantly. It turns out Lu Qingzi had long discovered she wasn't the original owner of this body, but still chose to play along with her act. To think that in the end, she was the clown. Before Luo Chu can react, Lu Qingzi approaches step by step with a Hanshan powder. A wall slam leaves Luo Chu with nowhere to run. Master taught this disciple from a young age to respect the master and not to overstep boundaries. Your disciple has followed these rules well. But why did Master break the rules first, sneaking into your disciple's room to drug him? It seems there's no way to cover up the drugging incident. A flustered Luo Chu wants to explain, but can't find the words. Was Master overcome by lust for a moment, wanted to have a taste of your disciple? Now she's in a situation she can't explain. Luo Chu vehemently denies it. Then how about your disciple is overcome by lust and wants to have a taste of Master? The moment he finishes speaking, Lu Qingzi goes in for a wall slam kiss. This is going to make countless girls swoon again. This unhinged disciple, seen as a monster, fell in love with his master. However, his master didn't know he loved her. She even snuck into his room at night to drug him with Hanshan powder. This excited the disciple, Lu Qingzi, who already had budding feelings. He could no longer care about the so-called master-disciple relationship and leaned in to kiss the one he loved. Master, your disciple likes you. All these red bubbles on the screen. Get off. Luo Chu forcefully pushes Lu Qingzi away. Lu Qingzi, what are you doing? Having been taken advantage of, Luo Chu is furious. You wicked disciple, wake up. Luo Chu thinks Lu Qingzi has gone mad and raises her hand to slap him. Lu Qingzi grabs Luo Chu's hand and pins it against the wall. Master, don't be angry. Your disciple knows he was wrong. He smiles slightly and slowly leans closer to Luo Chu. This plot development isn't right. A terrified Luo Chu cries out to the system, "It's over, it's over. I played with fire and gotten burned." Seeing Luo Chu's uneasy expression, Lu Qingzi seems lost in thought. The next second, he says with disappointment, "Sorry, your disciple was too hasty." He then gently touches Luo Chu's head. At his touch, Luo Chu's body goes limp, and she collapses into Lu Qingzi's arms. Lu Qingzi murmurs, "It's better for Master to forget what happened tonight. As for you, you heard everything." Lu Qingzi's gaze falls on the orange cat eavesdropping outside the door. The orange cat is terrified. Lu Qingzi approaches step by step. The cat's life is probably in danger. After all, this unhinged great villain only trusts a dead cat's mouth. The helpless orange cat desperately calls out to the unconscious Luo Chu for help, shouting, "The great villain is going to kill the cat." But Lu Qingzi shouts noisy, "If you wake Master, I'll really skin you." The orange cat jumps in fright. "You can understand me?" Lu Qingzi picks up Luo Chu. He warns it not to ask what it shouldn't. "I'm letting you live because I don't want Master to be sad." The orange cat wisely covers its mouth and goes silent. Lu Qingzi's face suddenly darkens. "Did you give the Hanshan powder to Master?" The orange cat quickly denies it, pointing a finger towards the sky. Lu Qingzi looks up, seeming to understand the heavenly Tao. He then gently places Luo Chu on the bed. He gently strokes Luo Chu's face. "Master, you can't be so seductive like tonight again." His fervent lips leave an affectionate kiss on Luo Chu's forehead. The next morning, Lu Qingzi prepares breakfast for Luo Chu early. The delicious food, perfect in color, aroma, and taste, instantly captures Luo Chu's heart. She exclaims how wonderful it is to have her disciple back. Indeed, the way to a person's heart is through their stomach. Seeing Luo Chu eating heartily, Lu Qingzi can't hide the smile on his lips. She's really forgotten about last night. Luo Chu notices Lu Qingzi's gaze and asks him what he's looking at and why he isn't eating. Lu Qingzi smiles and says, "I just feel that in the years I was away, Master has lost a lot of weight. You should eat more. There's still soup in the kitchen. I'll go get it." The great villain finally leaves. The terrified orange cat lets out a sigh of relief. Luo Chu notices the cat's strange behavior and asks with concern what happened. The orange cat looks utterly dejected. How is it supposed to explain? If the great villain finds out, will it survive? Ding! The system has a new mission. The orange cat quickly changes the subject. The mission is to attend the Immortal Alliance conference. Take the talented, handsome, and charismatic Son of Heaven, Shao Chun, who is loved by all as a disciple, and personally bestow the Kunwu sword upon him. These prefixes, the author really favors the male lead. Luo Chu is very confused. Mission 3 isn't even complete Why did it jump straight to 4? The orange cat hurriedly explains that the system has a bug. Poor orange cat, determined not to become a dead cat. Luo Chu falls into deep thought. The Immortal Alliance Conference is in 1 month. At that time, all the immortal sects will send their disciples to participate. The original novel's male lead, Shao Chun, will also make his first appearance here. As an outer sect member, Shao Chun shows extraordinary strength in the competition and unexpectedly reveals his full spiritual roots, thereby winning first place in the conference. Not only that, this battle allows Shao Chun to capture the heart of the original female lead, Yuan Moli, and also makes him famous, starting his super invincible, awesome Chosen One's path. And it's from this point that Lu Qingzi begins his hard life of being tormented and unloved. Not only is he easily crushed by Shao Chun, he also has to endure inhuman torture. This contrast is unbearable for anyone. As Lu Qingzi's mother fan, Luo Chu slams the table in protest. They're from the same book. So why does Shao Chun get a worry-free life, while her boy has to be abused and suffer a tragic death? At this moment, Lu Qingzi enters with hot soup. Luo Chu looks at Lu Qingzi and secretly vows, since it's me this time, I will do everything in my power to protect him for the rest of his life. As a mother fan, Luo Chu is determined to protect her boy for life. She calls over Lu Qingzi and asks if he feels pressured about the Immortal Alliance Conference in a month. Lu Qingzi tells her not to worry, as he has already made full preparations. He will definitely achieve a good ranking. The winner of this conference will receive the Kunwu sword. To make Luo Chu happy, Lu Qingzi secretly vows to win first place. To avoid putting too much pressure on Lu Qingzi, Luo Chu tells him that ranking is not important. It's his first time, so participation is what matters. Little does he know, Luo Chu is worried about something else, because she knows that in the book, Shao Chun has the protagonist's halo. The winner of the Immortal Alliance Conference is bound to be him. But now, her boy's cultivation is not bad either. If he wins against Shao Chun, how will she complete the mission? Seeing his master's worried frown, Lu Qingzi thinks she is disappointed because she's afraid he won't get a good ranking. To win his master's favor, Lu Qingzi becomes even more determined to win first place. This misunderstanding is too deep. A month later, the Immortal Alliance Conference begins as scheduled. Lu Qingzi fights his way through to the finals. His rapid progress in just a few years is nothing short of genius. Moreover, he is the disciple of Venerable Luo Chu. His strength cannot be underestimated. On the stage, watching her boy bring her so much glory, Luo Chu is very pleased. Her face full of pride. Zhu Qianying, standing beside her, looks displeased. She taunts Luo Chu for being able to teach such an outstanding disciple and deliberately asks who is better, Shao Chun or Lu Qingzi. Isn't this just blatantly trying to stir up trouble? Luo Chu calmly sips her tea. Chengzi is diligent and hardworking and has progressed rapidly. Shao Chun is exceptionally talented and is also a good prospect. They both have their own merits. There's nothing to compare. These words make Lu Qingzi thoughtful. I am Shao Chun. Please enlighten me. Lu Qingzi bows politely to him. I am Lu Qingzi. Please enlighten me. Facing the smiling Lu Qingzi, Shao Chun feels a chill. The final showdown begins. Lu Qingzi brandishes his sword. With a powerful swing, the 3-foot blade stabs towards Shao Chun like lightning. Shao Chun hastily dodges. Before he can react, Lu Qingzi attacks again. The evenly matched duel makes the watching disciples feel thrilled. Lu Qingzi presses his advantage, leaving the gifted Shao Chun with nowhere to hide. The tip of the sword points directly at his throat. Shao Chun is defeated. Shao Chun, who considered himself exceptionally skilled, is shocked but gracefully admits defeat. Lu Qingzi wins first place in the Immortal Alliance Conference. He thought his master would be happy for him, but unexpectedly, Luo Chu is horrified. It's over, it's over. My boy won, so how can I continue the mission? She hugs the orange cat and shakes it frantically. Isn't this forcing my hand? My boy won first place, but I have to give the first place sword to Shao Chun. What kind of twisted logic is this? The orange cat is also helpless. If she doesn't execute the mission, she'll be punished by heavenly lightning. To save her own life, even if Luo Chu is a million times unwilling, she can only obey the will of heaven. At this moment, the sect master is about to bestow the Kunwu sword upon the winner, Lu Qingzi. Just as Lu Qingzi is about to receive it, Wait. Luo Chu takes the Kunwu sword from the sect master's hands. Lu Qingzi thinks his master is going to present it to him personally, his face beaming with a happy smile. Who knew that Luo Chu would walk right past him toward Xiao Chun? Poor Lu Qingzi. Luo Chu presents the Kunwu sword to Xiao Chun and asks if he is willing to be her disciple. Lu Qingzi is completely baffled by Luo Chu's actions. Luo Chu has no choice but to complete the mission. Xiao Chun, as the defeated opponent, is at a loss, being gifted the Kunwu sword by Luo Chu. How can this be? This is senior brother Lu's sword. Luo Chu looks at her boy behind her. This sword is not suitable for him. He will have other choices. Lu Qingzi lowers his head in silence. The black-bellied, unhinged great villain is teetering on the edge of turning dark. Luo Chu senses Lu Qingzi's abnormality. He must be extremely disappointed in her as his master right now. Unexpectedly, Lu Qingzi looks up with a smile that it's just a sword. Master can decide as you see fit. Your disciple will listen to Master. That's an ancient divine sword. The crowd is amazed. Lu Qingzi's obedience and sensibility make Luo Chu feel relieved, but also heartbroken. She thinks to herself that after the mission is complete, she must compensate her boy properly. He tried his best to please her, but she didn't understand his efforts. She insisted on giving the Kunwu sword he won to someone else. You must know, this ancient divine sword represents the highest honor. Although Lu Qingzi is unwilling, he still chooses to be considerate of others. At this moment, a woman angrily rebukes Luo Chu's actions as unfair, speaking up for Lu Qingzi. According to the rules, the winner is senior brother Lu. Then this Kunwu sword should be his. How can the Venerable One give this sword to a new disciple? Luo Chu feels a strange sense of familiarity with the woman. Little does she know, she is the female lead from the book, Yuan Moli. No wonder her entrance comes with a special flower effect. Zhu Qianying, who has always been dissatisfied with Luo Chu, chimes in, accusing Luo Chu of being too biased. The sect master also thinks Luo Chu's actions are improper. Luo Chu is instantly pushed into the spotlight. She really has unspoken grievances. She's being forced by the system, okay? Seeing his master in a difficult position, Lu Qingzi directly takes the Kunwu sword and hands it to Xiao Chun. Since master has given the sword to you, junior brother, you should just accept it. This harmonious scene makes Luo Chu uneasy. Lu Qingzi deliberately lets go of his hands, and the Kunwu sword lands heavily in Xiao Chun's hands. The next second, it emits a golden light, enveloping Xiao Chun. At the same time, the system shows the mission is complete. Luo Chu recovers 40% of her cultivation and is gifted a bottle of Qiongji Ganlu. Luo Chu finally breathes a sigh of relief. Xiao Chun is flustered, but the sect master informs him that the Kunwu sword has already acknowledged him as its master, proving he has a fateful connection with the sword. The matter is thus settled, and the sword cannot be given to Xiao Chun. Yuan Moli steps forward again to stop it. What's going on? Weren't the male and female leads in the original book in love? It turns out Yuan Moli has been reborn. Now, she clearly remembers that in her past life, Xiao Chun used this very sword to kill Lu Qingzi. She hates Xiao Chun, this heartless man, because in her past life, she was deceived by him and missed out on Lu Qingzi. So in this life, she must stop him and live a good life with Lu Qingzi. Luo Chu is dumbfounded. She's trying so hard to matchmake the original male and female leads. So why is the female lead unwilling now? Good heavens, one is reborn, one is transmigrated. It seems Luo Chu and Yuan Moli are heading for a battle. Yuan Moli slowly approaches Lu Qingzi, thinking that Lu Qingzi is still infatuated with her like in the past life. She puts on a pitiful and helpless act. Luo Chu sees through this little trick at a glance. It seems she's interested in her boy, but unexpectedly, Lu Qingzi just stares at Luo Chu with an infatuated, dazed expression. Luo Chu is utterly speechless, thinking to herself, the young lady has been looking at you with teary eyes for a while. At least glance at her. What's the use of smiling at me? Seeing Lu Qingzi's lack of reaction, Luo Chu keeps winking at him. Unexpectedly, Lu Qingzi suddenly leans closer. Master, is there something wrong with your eye? Let your disciple blow on it for you. This ambiguous atmosphere, Yuan Moli's expression changes drastically. Because in Lu Qingzi's eyes, there's only his master. All right. Qingzi, I'm fine. Luo Chu quickly put some distance between herself and Lu Qingzi, muttering that Lu Qingzi is a fool with no tact. If he wants to win the beauty's heart, he'll have to rely on her. Luo Chu clears her throat and walks towards Yuan Moli. I see that your aptitude is also quite good. Are you willing to be my disciple? The crowd is dumbfounded. This line for recruiting disciples really hasn't changed a bit. Lu Qingzi is dejected. In order to get close to Lu Qingzi, Yuan Moli can only say she is willing. Luo Chu secretly rejoices. By taking both the male and female leads as disciples, she won't have to worry about her boy turning dark. At least her own personal safety is guaranteed. But Zhu Qianying is indignant, cursing Luo Chu for being too greedy, taking all the top 3 from the conference as her disciples. This must be jealousy. Luo Chu ignores her, calls for her boy and her other disciples, and prepares to leave, leaving Zhu Qianying fuming behind them. At this moment, Xiao Chan calls out to Yuan Moli. Senior brother Xiao, is there something else? Yuan Moli says with a smile. Xiao Chen asks quietly, Miss Yuan, do you dislike me? It's because she gave him a hostile look. Yuan Moli smiles like a flower. Why would senior brother Xiao think that? We have both become disciples of venerable Luo Chu. From now on, we are senior and junior disciples. How could Ollie dislike you? After hearing this, Xiao Chen apologizes to Yuan Moli for his misunderstanding. Then, please take care of me in the future. Facing this heartless man, she hates to the bone. Yuan Moli unconsciously zones out. She remembers how much she loved Xiao Chan in her past life. Even though Xiao Chan couldn't forget the white moonlight in his heart, Luo Chu, she still stayed by his side, wanting to spend her life with him. But after they got married, Xiao Chan would spend his days and nights with women who resembled Luo Chu, completely disregarding her feelings, trampling her heart on the ground. Now that she has been reborn, she wishes she could kill him right here, right now. Junior sister? Junior sister, what's wrong? Yuan Moli says she's fine, just lost in thought. Xiao Chun smiles and says, it's getting late. Let me walk you home, junior sister. Yuan Moli agrees against her will. Why do the male and female leads both seem like black lotuses? The unhinged disciple quietly climbs into his master's bed at night, all because his master took in new disciples, making him jealous. Lu Qingzi's fingers gently trace Luo Chu's red lips, not understanding why his master would take in others when she already had him. Lu Qingzi lay beside Luo Chu, gently stroking his cheek. He couldn't help but give Luo Chu a deep kiss, murmuring to her, I will make it so you can only see me in your eyes from now on. What is this domineering CEO talk? The next second, he transformed into a little puppy, hugging Luo Chu tightly and saying shyly, Master, your disciple truly loves you. Suddenly, a wisp of black smoke appeared, interrupting Lu Chengji's private time with his master. It mocked Lu Chengji for deceiving himself over someone who didn't care about him. Lu Chengji quickly got up to shield his master behind him, questioning why the black smoke had appeared here. He had clearly shaken it off during their previous training. The black smoke gave a wicked smile, informing Lu Qingji that he was of half-demon blood. As long as the blood of the demon clan remained in his body, it could find him anytime, anywhere. Lu Qingji fell silent. Unexpectedly, the black smoke turned its attention to Luo Chu, claiming Luo Chu was just average and that Lu Chengji didn't need to debase himself by staying as a disciple. It incited Lu Chengji to kill Luo Chu. Kill all the cultivators in the cloud-top immortal abode, and the supreme position would be his for the taking. What a joke. His master was Lu Chengji's life. Shut up and get back to your demon abyss. Don't you dare touch my master. Lu Chengji angrily slashed at the black mass, but it was useless. The black smoke had no physical form and couldn't be harmed. Enraged, the black smoke turned its target to Luo Chu. At that moment, the sleeping Luo Chu's face was contorted in pain, his body twitching non-stop. He cried out, it hurts. So painful. Seeing his beloved master in heart-wrenching pain, Lu Qingji became furious, demanding to know what the black smoke had done to Luo Chu. The black smoke wore a sinister and cunning expression, saying it was just a little trick that would plunge him into his most feared nightmare. It then threatened Lu Qingji to seriously consider the proposal of becoming a demon. Then it vanished. Along with the pain in his body, Luo Chu slowly opened his eyes to find himself bound in iron chains. The pain all over his body was unbearable. Unaware that he had fallen into a nightmare, Luo Chu thought he had been kidnapped. Just then, the sound of footsteps approached. You're still alive. It seems Master's fate is quite resilient. The person was his disciple, Lu Chengji. Luo Chu looked at the Lu Chengji before him in disbelief. Before he could even think, Lu Chengji drew his long sword and placed it at Luo Chu's throat, saying coldly, "Disciple, the person I hate most in this life is you, Master." Luo Chu was so scared he was dumbstruck. Just as he was about to ask for clarification, Lu Chengji viciously choked Luo Chu, ruthlessly trying to kill him. Luo Chu shouted, "Don't kill me." At that moment, Luo Chu broke through the nightmare. Waking up, Luo Chu was still shaken. This caused him to shudder at the sight of Lu Chengji beside him. He subconsciously flung Lu Chengji's hand away. "Don't touch me." Lu Chengji was confused as to why his master was so terrified of him. The orange cat broke into a cold sweat over Luo Chu's actions against the great villain. It quickly asked Luo Chu what was wrong. The terrified Luo Chu slowly calmed down. It was just a nightmare. As long as he followed the system's plot, he could definitely avoid the original book's ending. He then took Lu Chengji's hand and apologized. Lu Chengji held Luo Chu's hand back. He gave a sunny smile, indicating it was fine. Luo Chu still felt a trace of aversion towards Lu Chengji. He awkwardly said he had something to discuss with him. Luo Chu stated that he had accepted Xiao Chun and Yuan Moli as disciples and planned to have them move in Yinbin Pavilion, asking for Lu Chengji's opinion. Luo Chu, you need to be more careful. Your little disciple is a huge vinegar jar. Unexpectedly, Lu Chengji obediently said he would listen to whatever his master decided. Then, "Master, please get up and have breakfast first. Your disciple will go tidy up the side chamber now." Such a brilliant smile. Why did it feel like a smile hiding a dagger? Sure enough, the moment Lu Chengji turned around, his face changed, revealing a dark and ruthless gaze. A rustling sound came from the side chamber. Inside, there was a table and a few stools. Lu Chengji was diligently cleaning the room, sweeping back and forth with a feather duster. After a while, I came to see him and brought him a cup of hot tea. I praised him, saying the place was cleaned very nicely. But to my surprise, I heard a sizzling sound. The sound was quite terrifying. It turned out there was a little Jerry under the table. He was the one making the sizzling sound. I was so scared I screamed loudly. The little mouse was also startled and shocked. With a loud bang, the little mouse and I fled in opposite directions. I screamed loudly, "There's a mouse. Why is there a mouse here? I'm most afraid of mice." Lu Chengji patted my shoulder, telling me to calm down. I said to him, "Chengji, there's a mouse in the room." I threw myself into Lu Chengji's arms and told him, "Catch it quickly." Lu Chengji held me tightly and said, "Master, there's no need to be afraid. Your disciple is here. You can leave everything to Chengji." He used his left hand to create a red circle like a ball of condensed energy. Then, with a wave of his hand, he threw the little mouse into the air. The little mouse was like a plaything in his palm, completely under Lu Chengji's control. Then, the little mouse was burned black and fell heavily to the ground. The little mouse never expected that it would arrive just fine, but be unable to return. Lu Chengji stroked the hair at my temples and told me I could open my eyes. The mouse had been dealt with by him in a flash. I slowly opened my eyes, thinking that really scared me. I didn't expect that the first thing I saw would be Lu Chengji's handsome face. It was a bit awkward for the two of us to be so close. I quickly pulled myself out of his embrace, thinking how embarrassing this was. Lu Chengji quickly moved behind me, leaned in close to my ear, and whispered, "Disciple, didn't see anything just now." He rested his chin on my shoulder, asking me to pay attention to him. Then he continued to act cute, saying, "Please don't ignore me, okay?" I didn't turn around or say anything. He pretended to be angry and said, "Since you're ignoring me, I won't be an eyesore here anymore." As he walked away, he muttered, "I made some new pastries this morning. I was planning to eat them with Master after tidying up the side chamber." Hearing this, I called out for him to wait. He secretly rejoiced, thinking his tactic had worked. Lu Chengji turned his head and said to me, "Is there anything else you need?" He seemed to be looking forward to what I was about to say. I couldn't help but ask Lu Chengji, "Are those new pastries really something I've never had before?" Lu Chengji said, "Of course." I said embarrassedly, "Then I'll just have a little taste." Lu Chengji happily told me to wait a moment, and he would go to the kitchen to bring the pastries over. I angrily said to the little cat, "Why didn't you catch the mouse when you saw it just now? You made me lose face in front of my own disciple." The little cat held its head and said that someone as noble as itself couldn't possibly do such a crude job as catching mice. Actually, it didn't dare to catch it, because this was a mouse conjured by the great villain's illusion. Then, Lu Qingji walked in carrying a large bowl of pastries. The rich aroma wafted over. 3 days later, on that day, the sun was bright, and the scenery in the valley was exceptionally beautiful. A handsome man with a slick-back hairstyle said, "We are about to activate the formation and enter the Netherworld Ancient Realm." Before that, he had a few points to remind everyone. Because the Netherworld Ancient Realm grows stronger with the strength of those who enter, they would have to pass through 3 levels of trials. Lu Chengji and I were also in the crowd. I was disguised as the Changshan Peak disciple, Zhang Sisi. Although the ancient realm contains countless magical artifacts and treasures, it all depends on individual fate. Everything seen in the Netherworld realm is a thing of the past. After entering, no one must attempt to change the original course of events, or they will be devoured and killed by the ancient realm. In the original book, after the venerable Luo Chu learned that Xiao Chun was injured, he forcibly broke into the ancient realm, wanting to dig out Lu Qingji's heart's blood to heal him. I thought to myself, this time I'm accompanying them disguised as Zhang Sisi. If I can prevent Xiao Chun from getting injured, I won't have to repeat the original book's fate. At this moment, someone called out, "Senior Brother Lu." Lu Chengji heard it too. Yuan Moli said to Lu Chengji, "When we enter the ancient city later, let's go together. That way we can look out for each other." Lu Chengyi coldly said to Yuan Moli, "That won't be necessary." Yuan Moli pleaded, "Just let Ailey follow you." Yuan Moli reached out to pull Lu Chengji, but he shook her hand off. Lu Chengji turned his head and said to Yuan Moli, "Please have some self-respect." Yuan Moli looked at Lu Chengji awkwardly, at a loss for what to do. At this moment, a hand gently patted Yuan Moli, saying, "If Senior Brother Lu is unwilling, you can follow me." It turned out to be Senior Brother Xiao Chun. He said to Yuan Moli, "I will protect you well." At this time, the Changshan Peak disciple Pei Yu patted his chest and said to Yuan Moli, "If Junior Sister Yuan is willing, you can team up with me." Then, another group of men gathered around, scrambling to team up with Yuan Moli. Seeing this, I stepped forward and said to them, "Everyone, please stop arguing. Let's first listen to the sect leader finish the instructions. It's not too late to discuss teaming up after we enter the ancient realm." Hearing this, Peiyu turned to look at me, his expression completely shocked. He asked me, "You're Zhang Sisi from Changxing Peak? Junior Sister Zhang? I didn't expect you to also get the qualification to train in the ancient realm." I touched my face, thinking my disguise was pretty good. Even Peiyu from the same peak didn't notice anything different. At this moment, a familiar hand wearing a half-glove grabbed me, asking, "Are you Zhang Sisi?" Lu Qingji held my hand and said, "Junior Sister, that name is really interesting." He leaned his face so close to mine it felt like he was about to kiss me. This is really awkward. Has he recognized me? I gave a fake smile and said, "Senior Brother Lu, please don't joke with me." I thought to myself, I've used an appearance-altering technique and a voice-changing technique. I shouldn't be easily recognized. He brought his big face closer to me again, pressing his forehead against mine. My face turned red with shyness. I asked him if there was something on my face. He took a few steps back and said, "No, Junior Sister is overthinking it." I thought to myself, this guy Lu Chengji is actually a master flirt in private. He has a whole routine for teasing young girls. The sect leader waved his hand and said, "Everyone quiet down. We are now opening the formation." Everyone gathered around him in a circle. A red disc appeared at everyone's feet. Peiyu's shocked expression said, "Is that the thing?" Yuan Moli rubbed her eyes. Then, everyone vanished from where they stood. 2 small sparrows were chirping on a branch. Then, with a loud rumble, a red disc pierced through the sky. With a splat, a cloud of mist-like energy hit the ground. I leaned on Lu Chengji's shoulder, muttering, "That hurts." Then everyone looked up ahead in shock, involuntarily saying, "What is this?" Before them was an ancient city with the large characters "Flower Kingdom" written on it. A tall city wall appeared out of thin air in front of them. Below the wall, the 3 bloody words "Flower Kingdom" were written. Yuan Moli was shocked. It wasn't like this in her previous life. Could her rebirth have changed the scenery in the Netherworld ancient realm? According to immortal records, the Flower Kingdom suffered a devastating disaster. I never thought it would appear here in the Netherworld ancient realm. I looked at Lu Qingji and asked, "How do you know?" while also slapping away Lu Chengji's restless hand from my waist. Lu Chengji smiled ambiguously and said, "It's all because Master taught me well." I was startled at first, thinking my identity had been exposed. On second thought, he probably meant to say that his master had taught him all this. This kid doesn't forget to praise me, even when we're outside. Not bad, not bad. But when did I ever teach him these things? Lu Chengji naturally took my hand, our fingers intertwining. He looked at me in my daze and asked, "What are you thinking about, junior sister?" He looked at me with a smile and said, "You're so lost in thought." I came back to my senses, coughed awkwardly twice, and said, "It's nothing." Lu Chengji said to follow them into the city to have a look. I looked at the many people ahead and nodded with a serious expression. What was shocking was that compared to the terrifying, dark energy-wreathed exterior of the city gate, the inside of the city was a scene of peace and harmony. An old man was enthusiastically promoting his goods to everyone. Candied hawthorns. Big, red candied hawthorns. A young couple with their child was also calling out, "Fresh meat mini wontons." Ha! Freshly made mini wontons. Both Lu Chengji and I thought of jingling. No matter how you looked at it, this didn't seem like what an extinct ancient kingdom should be like. We in the Flower Kingdom haven't had foreigners enter for many years. A plainly dressed old man came forward to greet us. I asked the old man how long he had lived here and if he had ever been outside the city. He said he had never been out and didn't know what the outside was like. Both Lu Chengji's and my expressions became a bit grave. It was obvious that something was not right with this old man. I leaned closer to Lu Chengji and whispered, "Have you noticed? The citizens here have no other expression on their faces besides a smile." Lu Chengji looked at the people before him, a playful smile gracing his lips. He said with a sincere face, "You're really amazing." You even noticed that, after walking for a while, the group arrived at the market center. Peiyu was puzzled. "Why is there a red money pouch on the ground?" As he was about to bend down and pick it up, his eyes glanced to the side, and he noticed there was another one up ahead. And not just one. The moment Peiyu picked up the money pouch, a sword directly flicked the red pouch away. It was Lu Chengji who used his sword to stop Peiyu from picking up the money pouch. Peiyu turned his head to look at Lu Chengji and asked in confusion, "What's wrong?" Lu Chengji said he heard there's a folk belief that red money pouches dropped on the ground cannot be picked up. Some wealthy families arrange ghost marriages for their daughters who died young and unmarried. They put some money along with the girl's hair in a money pouch, seeking a fated person. If someone picks it up, the girl will come on the 7th day after her death to take her fated person to the underworld to get married. Xiao Chan said in surprise, "Is there really such a thing? How come I've never heard of it?" Peiyu also said, "It's just a money pouch." Isn't Lu Chengji overthinking it? It was probably dropped by a citizen by accident. Lu Chengji let out a sneer. Then, he drew the sword from his waist and slashed at the red pouch, revealing its contents. Sure enough, it was a string of copper coins tied with a lock of hair. Peiyu gasped and sat down on the ground with a thud. The others also hadn't expected such a bizarre thing to be real. I crossed my arms, looked at Lu Chengji, and asked, "Is this also something your master taught you?" He smiled and said, "But of course." My face immediately darkened with speechlessness. He really just says whatever comes to mind. When did I ever teach him these things? Yuan Moli said, "It's getting late and everyone is tired. Why don't we find an inn to rest first and investigate tomorrow?" She naturally placed her hand on Lu Chengji's shoulder. Lu Chengji subtly pulled away, then turned to block me, who was standing to the side. He gently asked what I thought they should do. Afterward, Lu Chengji and I left hand in hand, leaving Yuan Moli alone with a dark expression. She gritted her teeth and silently recited my fake name, angrily saying, "Just you wait. Sooner or later, I'll make you pay." The group arrived at a spacious and magnificent inn. Everyone excitedly divided up the rooms. Xiaochen walked over with a key and said, "You and Yuan Moli are both women, so you can share a room." I was shocked at first, then I was about to cheerfully accept the key from Xiaochen. But just as the key was about to reach my hand, it was snatched away by someone. It was our villain, Lord Lu Chengji. He dangled the key in his hand and said with a wicked smile that he wanted to share a room with me. Xiaochen stammered, "Isn't that inappropriate?" Yuan Moli said, "Men and women should maintain a proper distance. This is against the rules." Lu Chengji said with great righteousness, "She is a cultivator with a low cultivation level. I will stay with her to protect her safety." Looking at Lu Chengji's meaningful smile, I said with a deadpan expression, "Then thank you, senior brother, for your care." Xiao Chun said that since I agreed, then I would share a room with Lu Chengji. He and Yuan Moli would take the remaining room. Yuan Moli, fuming, was about to say something more but was pulled away by Xiao Chun into another room. After entering the room, I sighed and closed the door, feeling quite exhausted today. Who knew that I would suddenly be hugged tightly from behind? Behind me was a scorching chest, and the hand on my waist was still calloused. I struggled free from Lu Chengji's grasp. I knew this little rascal was up to no good. I turned around, intending to slap this little rascal to death, but Lu Chengji grabbed my hand and pinned me against the door. Lu Chengji leaned in very close, gazing at me affectionately. I cursed at him, asking what madness had possessed him, but my face betrayed me and turned red. The next second, his scorching lips descended, prying open my teeth with his tongue. Like a wild beast, he invaded, his hands holding me with ever-increasing force. My breathing grew more and more rapid. I was kissed until I couldn't breathe, only able to passively endure Lu Chengji's demands. I don't know how long passed before Lu Chengji slowly pulled away. Then, as if not yet satisfied, he pecked my lips again. I immediately slapped him across the face, cursing, "You lecher." Lu Chengji touched his reddened cheek, but didn't get angry. He just stood there obediently, smiling and saying, "Junior sister's lesson is well received." He explained that I looked like an old acquaintance of his, and for a moment, he couldn't control his feelings. If I weren't afraid of hurting this little rascal with my powers, I would have taught him a proper lesson. I said sternly that tonight, Lu Chengji must sleep on the floor. If I caught him making any more advances, I wouldn't let him off. I said I was going to wash up first, and he was not to follow or peek. He crossed his arms, a smile on his face, and said, "Junior sister can rest assured." Lu Chengji stripped and sat in a hot bathtub. Through the steam, his chest and abdominal muscles were faintly visible. As I dried my hair, I thought about how his words and actions towards me today were bold and unrestrained, like a peacock showing off its feathers. I put down the cloth, thinking he was completely unlike my obedient disciple. But who was this old acquaintance he mentioned? Suddenly, my hand touched something hard. It was a book. On it was written Flower Kingdom's secret history. I sat on the bed in my plain clothes, stroking the book, wondering what on earth it was. Then I picked up the book and examined it carefully. From the title, it looked like a storybook. A young thief, on the verge of starving to death due to famine, was saved by the gentle voice of the Flower Kingdom's princess. His name was Chu Jie. Afterward, Chu Jie mended his ways and joined the army. Due to his outstanding military achievements, he was appointed as the guardian general of the nation. I flipped through the contents of the book. It turned out to be about the story of the Flower Kingdom's princess and the general. I don't know if the Flower Kingdom in this book is the same as the current one. Anyway, since I'm bored, I'll see if I can find any clues in the book. Lu Chengji tiptoed to my bedside, softly calling my name. Seeing that I didn't respond, he lifted my bed curtain. To his surprise, I was already asleep. He climbed onto the bed, thinking that I could fall asleep even when sharing a room with him. I really had no guard up at all. Then he quietly lifted a corner of my blanket, thinking that the night was long and he should sleep with me so I wouldn't be lonely. The moment he touched my body, Lu Chengji instantly stiffened, his face completely red. He wrapped his arm around my waist, not too tightly, not too loosely. He rested his chin on my shoulder, his voice low and deep, softly calling, "Master." At this moment, from the street outside the window, a girl's bell-like laughter was heard. The sound startled me, and my ears twitched. I clearly heard the strange sound from outside. Then I suddenly opened my eyes, thinking, what on earth is that sound? I turned and saw Lu Chengji was actually on my bed, propped up on his elbow, looking at me with a gentle expression. With no time to question him about climbing into my bed, I immediately reached out and covered the mouth he was about to speak with. Then I pushed him down onto the bed, wrapped my arms around him, and gestured for him not to make sound. Then I raised my head and asked him if he heard any strange sounds. He was shocked by this scene and nodded stiffly at a loss. Lu Chengji wrapped his arms around me. We both heard a peculiar sound. Lu Chengji lay on the bed, and I pressed my hands on the bed, leaning over his body. I said, "That sound seems like a woman's laughter." The sound sent a cold sweat down my spine. Lu Chengji sat up, pulling me with him, and pressed his face against my chest. He said, "That sound is the sound of Junior sister's heartbeat." He was panting heavily, and I was panting heavily too. With a whoosh, I jumped off of Lu Cheng. I thought to myself, I could never raise a disciple who spouts such flirtatious nonsense. I sat on the edge of the bed and took a deep breath, telling Lu Chengji to stay put while I went to the window to check. I went to the window and stealthily pushed it open, but I was immediately stunned. The scene before me was truly astonishing. Outside, gongs and drums were sounding, and firecrackers were crackling. A group of men in red clothes were joyfully playing music. In the middle of the procession was a wedding sedan carried by 4 people. The outside was filled with a crowd of onlookers watching the excitement. In the middle of the large sedan sat a bride, prim and proper. Her straight head was covered with a tasseled veil. I quickly closed the window, feeling that something was wrong. I said to Lu Qingji, "Something's not right outside. Let's go down and see." Lu Qingji smiled faintly, very happy. He thought to himself that in my urgency, I had even started calling him Changji. Lu Qingji teased me, as junior sister wishes. I hurriedly led Changji outside. Tonight's moonlight was exceptionally bright and clear. Unexpectedly, Peiyu was also downstairs watching the commotion and greeted us. I asked him, "Why are you guys here too?" He said he noticed something was off with the citizens, so he decided to follow and see. Suddenly, a tragic cry of "wah" was heard. It turned out Yuan Moli's hand had been cut by someone. A man was tightly gripping Yuan Moli's palm. She shouted loudly for him to let go. Seeing this, Lu Qingji shouted, "Junior sister Yuan," and then drew the sword he carried with him. Lu Qingji swung his sword, repelling the attacker. Yuan Moli said she was scratched and bleeding from the bad guy's grip. With a boom, the bustling crowd turned their heads to look at us. To our great shock, this group of people, baring their teeth and claws, surrounded us and lunged forward. I said to them, "The sound just now startled the crowd. They're all surrounding us." Behind the crowd, there was a house with an open door. I realized that the house opposite us should be a temporary shelter. Lu Qingyi temporarily dispersed the attacking crowd and urged us to go to the wooden house for a short refuge. We hurriedly ran into the wooden house, and then Lu Qingji slammed the door shut. Peiyu, panting, asked, "What's going on? Why did the citizens suddenly attack us?" Lu Qingji explained, "They're not breathing. They haven't been alive for a long time. Someone must be controlling all this from behind the scenes." Lu Qingji said that from the disaster that struck the Flower Kingdom 300 years ago, no one should have survived. Everything we saw during the day must have been an illusion. Everyone was shocked to hear this. At this moment, Xiao Chun hastily said, "Where's junior sister Yuan?" I angrily questioned him. "Wasn't Yuan Moli always with you?" Xiao Chun said he thought she had been following behind him. Xiao Chun yanked open the door, saying, "It's so dangerous outside. I have to go find her." Lu Qingji said, "Yuan Moli is right outside. It looks like she's already been assimilated." Yuan Moli stood stiffly outside, muttering, "The princess and General Chu are a match made in heaven." Yuan Moli's face was dark, and she repeatedly chanted, "The princess is devastatingly beautiful. The princess has the heart of a bodhisattva." I thought to myself, the princess and the general, isn't this from the storybook I read tonight? What I didn't expect even more was that Peiyu and Xiao Chun said in unison, "You saw that storybook too?" Peiyu and Xiao Chun turned to look at each other, asking incredulously, "You saw it too?" I said, "That storybook wasn't a coincidence. Someone deliberately let us see it. And the story of the Flower Kingdom's princess and the general might not just be a story." The more I thought about it, the more terrified I felt. At this moment, a hand rested on my head, comforting me, "Don't be afraid." Lu Qingji gently stroked my head and said, "No need to be afraid. I'm here." Lu Qingji then explained, "When there are fewer people outside, we'll follow them and see." Yuan Moli was probably assimilated because her skin was broken. I looked at Qingji with admiration, not expecting him to remain so calm in such a dangerous situation. Lu Qingji seemed to notice the change in me and turned to look at me. He pulled me into his arms and asked what was wrong. I shyly said it was nothing, thinking to myself, this kid's flirting skills are getting more and more impressive. The procession continued, constantly chanting, "The princess and General Chu, a match made in heaven." The procession moved further and further away. We quietly followed behind the procession. Unexpectedly, we followed the procession to the front of the imperial palace. The next scene made our eyes widen. I had never seen such a sight. A man dressed in blood-red clothes and wearing a half-mask walked out. He slowly descended the stairs, step by step. The large sedan was placed on the ground, waiting. Lu Qingji looked at the scene before him and then said, "It seems he is the General Chu the citizens speak of." Xiao Chun said his kunwu sword seemed very agitated. It only has such a violent reaction when it senses dense demonic energy. I turned to Lu Qingji and said, What does senior brother mean? Lu Chengji said, this general has fallen to demonic cultivation. The general came to the front of the large sedan, gently pulled open the curtain, and helped the bride out. Then he lifted the bride into his arms. The bride seemed very thin and frail. The great general looked at the bride dotingly. Unexpectedly, under the red veil, was a pile of bones. We all stared at this, dumbfounded. Peiyu said, this demonic cultivator's taste is a bit too much. The great general, holding the skeleton bride, turned and walked step by step towards the palace. Xiao Chun said, junior sister Yuan went in too. Should we follow? I said, the storybook says the general sacrificed 10,000 people to resurrect the princess. I shouted, oh no, Yuan Moli is in mortal danger. Hearing this, Xiao Chun immediately rushed out, shouting junior sister Yuan, intending to save her. Lu Qingji held my hand, turned his head to me, and said, let's follow them too. My face was as red as a big apple. Then I shyly said, okay. Chengji, and I looked up at the mist in the sky, wondering where the citizens who had just entered and Xiao Chun had all gone. Suddenly, a fierce gust of wind blew. Before I could react, I covered my eyes with my hand, wondering what this gust of wind was all about. This fierce wind suddenly swept up both me and Lu Qingji, forcefully separating us. Our two tightly clasped hands were thus forcefully torn apart. Lu Qingji was swept into midair by this black storm. I was also tightly gripped by the black wind, unable to move a single step forward. I shouted, let me go. Qingji is in danger. I have to save him. At this moment, the system reminded me that I had triggered a hidden plot. The past of the Flower Kingdom. The host will travel back 300 years and experience its past in the identity of Princess Wensheng. Then, an old woman pulled open the bed curtain and called out to me, Your Highness. She told me it was time to get up for breakfast. I yawned and asked her what time it was. I wonder how I could say these things so naturally. Moreover, my body and actions seemed to be out of my control. I remember being separated from Chengji by the wind in the palace, and then I somehow became Princess Wensheng. The old woman told me it was already the first quarter of the Mao hour, time to get up and eat. I then said to the old woman, Xionyang, that I wanted to go out of the palace. The old woman was shocked and said, absolutely not. The enemy kingdom is invading, and people are in a panic. She stroked Princess Wensheng's shoulder and said, if the emperor finds out you've left the palace, he will be furious. The princess said aggrievedly that she just wouldn't leave the palace then. I thought to myself, according to the plot, the princess would definitely find a way to get out of the palace. Sure enough, the princess changed into yellow clothes and hurriedly ran out onto the street. She wore a yellow ornament on her head, then turned her head as if looking for something. She hurriedly ran towards a man, calling out, Ajia. Ajia turned to look at the princess, very happy. The princess bounced towards Ajia, saying, I came out of the palace to play with you. I thought to myself, is this person General Chu Jie? Why does he look exactly like Chengji? Chu Jie took the princess's hand and said, you snuck out of the palace. Why didn't you bring any guards? It's so dangerous for a young lady to be out alone. I happily said to him, your senior brother Lu, right? Are you like me, transported into the Flower Kingdom of 300 years ago? I was so happy that I could speak freely. Chu Jie looked completely bewildered, clearly not knowing who senior brother Lu was. I explained that I was Zhang Cici, his junior sister. I held his hands, thinking, since Chengji is here, why should I bother following the Flower Kingdom's plot? Chu Jie smiled and said, has the princess been reading some new storybooks? Do you want to play a role-playing game with me now? I disappointedly let go of his hands, thinking I must have guessed wrong. Chu Jie stroked the princess's head, comforting her. Don't be unhappy. If you like, I'll play with you. I thought I'd better just follow the original plot. I said to Chu Jie, yesterday, Father Emperor said I've reached the age to be married. Chu Jie was stunned to hear this, and just said, and I wondered what this strange reaction was. The princess continued, those candidates for prince consort are all talented and handsome, the best of the best. The princess grabbed Chu Jie and called his name Ajia. The princess pressed him, are you unwilling to marry me? Chu Jie turned to look at the princess and said that he was actually leaving for battle in a few days. The princess was completely stunned, standing there foolishly. She said, going to war is such a big deal. Why are you only telling me now? The princess said angrily, it must be Father Emperor who forced you into the army. I'm going to find him now and make him cancel the decree. Chu Jie grabbed her and pulled her into his arms. Chu Jie explained that no one forced him. It was his own choice. The princess trembled with anger. The battlefield is perilous. Who knows when he would be able to return? Chu Jie leaned on the princess's shoulder and told her that he wanted to marry her more than anyone else. Princess, you are a princess of noble birth. I must marry you openly with a grand procession. However, I am what people call a thief. I want to join the army to make a name for myself, to stand by the princess's side with a better status. The princess told him, you rob the rich to help the poor. You're different from the others. That time I was being bullied by ruffians, it was you who saved me. Chu Jie wiped the princess's tears and said, Your Highness, marrying a thief will lead to criticism in the future. I don't want the princess to suffer slander because of this. Chu Jie swore an oath, when I return with merits, I don't want wealth or glory, only the princess. Then Chu Jie lifted the princess and kissed her. He told the princess to wait for his return, and they would be together forever. The princess looked at him and said, I promise. I thought, I can't be wrong. This person must be Liu Changji, because I remember the storybook said Chu Jie's personality was humble and reserved, but the words and actions of the person in front of me were clearly those of Changji. 3 days later, under the city gate, Chu Jie and his soldiers were ready to depart. The princess stood on the city wall, looking at Chu Jie affectionately, and said to him, I will wait for you to come back. Chu Jie turned to look at the princess and said to her, Wait for me to come back and marry you. Chu Jie fought bravely on the battlefield. The battle was a stalemate with constant casualties on both sides. Although the intelligence sent back to the palace from the front lines was always grim, the princess firmly believed that the boy who kept his promises would return in glory to marry her. But in the 3rd year of Chu Jie's campaign, an unprecedented plague broke out in the Flower Kingdom. The entire Flower Kingdom was in chaos, with bodies littering the fields and the people living in misery. But among the common folk of the Flower Kingdom, a saying became popular. Princess's blood, princess's flesh, cures all ills and grants long life. The emperor asked the Grand Preceptor, the plague is still not under control. If this continues, the Flower Kingdom is in danger. The Grand Preceptor said, at this point, there is only one way to solve it. The emperor anxiously asked him what other way there was. The Grand Preceptor, incapable of saying anything good, said, for now, the only way is to kill the princess to save the Flower Kingdom. The Grand Preceptor explained that the princess was a descendant of the Sainus' clan. Taking the flesh and blood of a Sainus' descendant could cure all diseases. Hearing this, the emperor said very angrily, this is absurd. My daughter is not an object to be sacrificed. The Grand Preceptor said, with things as they are now, the decision is no longer yours to make. Then, the Grand Preceptor took out a dagger from his robes and stabbed viciously at the emperor. The emperor urgently dodged the fatal blow. He shouted, what are you doing? Guards, protect me. But everyone around seemed not to have heard, turning a deaf ear. In the end, the emperor was struck heavily in the chest by a sword and fell. The Grand Preceptor looked at the emperor collapsed on the ground, happily stroking his beard, very pleased. Then, the Grand Preceptor took off his white mask, revealing his true face. It turned out to be an old man who looked to be about 50 or 60 years old. My face was covered in sweat, and my eyes were still closed. Suddenly, I shot my eyes open and sat up abruptly. I thought, so the emperor was killed by the Grand Preceptor. This was all a conspiracy by the Grand Preceptor. Then I got up and lifted the small blanket covering me. I thought, I have to find a way to save the princess. But I found that my body seemed to be tied up, unable to move. Could it be because I wanted to save the princess and interfered with the plot? The preceptor, disguised as the emperor, walked towards my chambers. He cried out, my poor daughter. He told me that a battle report had come from the front lines. Chu Jie had died in battle, his body never found. The princess, with tears in her eyes, said, Jie can't be dead. He said he would come back to marry me. The preceptor hypocritically pulled the princess into his arms, comforting her. He said he knew she loved Chu Jie, but the dead cannot be brought back to life. He said the Flower Kingdom was being invaded from the outside and plagued by pestilence from within. The people were suffering. He had truly failed as an emperor. The princess looked at the preceptor sadly and said, Agia is dead. I don't want to live anymore either. I am willing to offer my life to save the people of the Flower Kingdom. The preceptor held the princess's hands and said, "Are you really sure?" The princess said, "I hope Father Emperor will grant my wish." The preceptor shed false tears and said, "I will thank you on behalf of the people of the Flower Kingdom." The princess shed tears again, unwilling to part with her father. The preceptor then ordered, "Announce to the people that tomorrow at the Wu hour, at the city gate, the princess will offer her flesh and blood to save the people of the Flower Kingdom from their suffering." The next day, on the city wall, the princess was dressed in magnificent and noble attire, looking exceptionally beautiful. A bright red dress accentuated her beautiful face. From outside the city walls came the familiar and ignorant voices, "Princess's blood, princess's flesh, cures all ills, and grants long life." The princess stood on the city wall, looking at the surging crowd below. The people shouted, "Everyone take her flesh and eat it, and the Flower Kingdom will be preserved forever." The princess said, "I am Wensheng, the princess of the Flower Kingdom. For 16 years, I have lived a smooth life thanks to the people's support. Now that the Flower Kingdom is in crisis, I cannot stand by and do nothing." Then she took out a dagger and said, "I am willing to sacrifice myself for the country, to repay the people's kindness with my own flesh and blood." The people below the city wall were overjoyed, thinking they could finally be saved. The people shouted happily, "Wonderful, wonderful." Countless blood-red butterflies flew to the top of the city wall. The princess plunged a dagger deep in her chest. She was not in pain, but smiled and said, "Agia, I can finally come and be with you." I let out a long breath, thinking that since Wensheng was dead, I should be able to return now. The princess's body fell heavily from the top of the city wall. The crowd below reached out with countless ruthless, demonic claws. The people of the Flower Kingdom scrambled towards the princess's corpse. They shouted, "I don't want to die yet," preparing to devour the princess's body. A man hiding in a corner said, "I got some," and happily muttered, "My plague will be cured soon." Unexpectedly, at this moment, Chu Jie returned triumphantly with his troops. He saw the furtive, scrambling crowd and asked what they were doing. A citizen said, "General Chu has been away on campaign for 3 years. You probably don't know that a plague has broken out in the Flower Kingdom." He held up a piece of bloody flesh and said to Chu Jie, "This is the princess's flesh. It can cure the plague." Hearing this, General Chu was stunned. He told him to say it again. "Whose flesh was it?" The man said, "This is the princess's flesh and blood. It can cure all diseases." The princess cared for the common people and did it willingly. Hearing this, General Chu was enraged. Unable to control his emotions any longer, he drew his blade and cut down this beast. The onlookers saw this and cried out in terror, "General Chu has killed someone." The crowded mob scattered in all directions, afraid of losing their lives here. The princess's body lay on the ground. Chu Jie couldn't believe his eyes. Under the princess's red dress, only a pile of white bones remained. Chu Jie's emotions were out of control. He threw his sword to the ground. He fell to his knees with a thud, looking at the princess before him with heart-wrenching grief. He roared at the sky, his eyes bloodshot. The people around said, "This is bad. General Chu seems to have fallen to demonic cultivation." Chu Jie scooped up the princess and said he had fought on the battlefield, surviving against all odds. He did it all to come back and marry her. The soldiers stood in a neat line. Chu Jie's furious eyes were blood red. He snarled, "Kill them. Leave no one alive." The soldiers raised their swords and charged forward to slaughter. Chu Jie was clearly controlled by his rage. The citizens shouted, "He's gone mad," and turned to flee towards the city gates. Chu Jie said sorrowfully, "So these are the heartless people who killed the princess, the very people I was protecting." A man knelt before General Chu, begging him not to kill him. I floated out of the princess's body. I now understood the root cause of the Flower Kingdom's destruction. At this point, Chu Jie had completely lost his mind. He recklessly killed one person after another. Watching everything before me, I wondered if Chengji would also become this frenzied if he fell to demonic cultivation in the future. I floated to the top of the city wall. It seemed someone was calling me, "Junior Sister Zhang." The voice sounded like Chengji's. My head suddenly throbbed with pain. Chengji was calling me to wake up. My head hurt more and more. I felt my body as if it were falling heavily into a bottomless abyss. It turned out I was lying unconscious on Lu Chengji's body. Lu Chengji had been trying to wake me up. The mysterious black shadow appeared again behind Chengji. It said that I was now trapped in a nightmare, and all I was seeing was Lu Chengji's appearance after he fell to demonic cultivation and started killing people. Lu Chengji turned to the black shadow and said, "Stop talking nonsense. As long as I stay by Master's side, it's impossible for me to fall to demonic cultivation." I still hadn't woken up, continuing to lie in Chengji's arms with a pained expression, sweat beading on my face. Lu Chengji anxiously called out, "Master," trying to wake me up, but I remained in a painful state, not waking up. Lu Chengji thought that if his master woke up and saw him entangled with this monster, he would definitely sever ties with him. Then he drew his long sword, absolutely furious. He shouted at the monster to get lost, swinging wildly at the shadow. The dark figure told him they would meet again, then gradually vanished into thin air. Then I slowly opened my eyes. Lu Chengji looked at me worriedly and said I was finally awake. Lu Chengji explained that as soon as we entered the imperial palace, we were attacked by a stone dream eye. The stone dream eye has now been slain. He asked me how I was feeling. I thought to myself that I was finally back. I smiled and told him I was fine. I said, "But senior brother, why do you look so pale?" Lu Chengji wondered if I had discovered something. I stroked his ear and said, "Let me see. This is truly a first." Lu Chengji's face turned beet red with shyness, as if he had a fever. I wondered what was going on. He clearly didn't have a fever. I held Chengji's hands and said, "I felt you looked unwell for a while now. Are you feeling uncomfortable somewhere? I'll transfer some spiritual power to you now." Lu Chengji happily said to me, "Junior sister, were you worried about me just now?" I told him, "Of course I was worried about you. You're the disciple I raised." Lu Chengji suddenly became very dejected. He then asked me if I thought all demons were unforgivably evil. I asked him why he would suddenly ask that. He said the stone dream eye from before had absorbed spiritual power, but didn't seem to have done anything unforgivably evil. I lowered my head in thought. To think Chengji would ask such a question. I have to answer this well and instill in him a proper set of values. I explained that there is no absolute good or evil in the world, nor is there eternally opposing black and white. The human clan cultivates by absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, so their nature is relatively gentle and kind. But there are still good people and bad people among them. So what's important isn't the distinction between immortal and demon, but whether one's heart holds good intentions. Hearing these words, Lu Chengji's face turned red with shyness, but he also seemed to find comfort in them. He lifted my chin with his finger, which I never expected. Then he held my face with both hands and started kissing me. My eyes turned red from shyness. I wondered why Chengji would do this. With a red face, I forcefully pushed Lu Chengji away. I can't believe he just acted like a hooligan towards me. He immediately and obediently told me that he had been rash. If I wanted to hit or scold him, he wouldn't fight back. I crossed my arms, angrily thinking that his attitude of admitting his mistake was quite good, but he would always dare to do it again next time. Lu Chengji is always like this. I angrily turned away and said, "Let's just forget it this time. We should go find Xiao Chun and the others." We went to an inconspicuous corner of the main hall. I fumbled around on the wall for a moment, then knocked on 3 spots on the wall. The wall actually cracked open slightly from the middle, revealing a passageway. I never thought there would be such a hidden passage beneath the imperial palace. Walking down the narrow passage, Lu Chengji discovered a secret chamber. I immediately said, "I'll help you." The dim room was empty, save for a crystal coffin. Inside the coffin lay a skeleton and Yuan Emoli. The man, dressed in a red groom's outfit, held an oil lamp. Its large flame flickered from time to time, emitting a faint light. He took off his mask and said, "You're finally here." His face, covered in runes, looked somewhat sinister in the flickering lamplight. As soon as he finished speaking, a sword came attacking me. A sharp, fluorescent light stabbed towards me with astonishing speed. Lu Chengji drew his sword in time to block in front of me. The 2 swords clashed with a humming sound. The demon clan cultivates by absorbing resentment and pain. The resentment he absorbed from slaughtering the people of an entire country is countless. Based on Lu Chengji's performance at the Immortal Alliance conference, he shouldn't be a match for him. But now, Lu Chengji has the clear upper hand. While I was pondering, Lu Chengji's sword was already at the masked man's neck. I quickly spoke up to stop him. telling Lu Qingji not to hurt him. I softly uttered 2 words, Chu Jian. All these years, you've been luring living people into the formation to resurrect the princess. But the 10,000 Souls Revival formation requires the deceased to have had intense resentment before death to work. The man's face instantly turned grim. He glared at me deadly. The princess had no resentment when she died. She sacrificed herself willingly. He roared that I was talking nonsense. How could Her Highness have been willing? The emperor, the ministers, the common people of Euro, they all forced the princess. They all deserve to die. I said, the common people and the emperor are all innocent. The Grand Preceptor is the real culprit. He disguised himself as the emperor to deceive the princess into sacrificing her flesh and blood. Chu Jian, you've avenged the wrong person. The ones you killed were the innocent people the princess protected with her life. If I'm not mistaken, the Grand Preceptor was the one who told you about the 10,000 Souls Revival formation, wasn't he? He planned all of this and completely deceived you. The man touched the skeleton's face with his hand, trembling as he said he didn't believe it, that I must be lying to him. I said, you keep the princess's skeleton by your side, preventing her from entering the cycle of reincarnation. She definitely wouldn't want to see you like this. Looking at the man on the ground, who was in utter agony, I ultimately felt a stir of compassion. Lu Chengji looked at me. His pupils trembled slightly. I bit my fingertip. A drop of blood gathered at my fingertip. Pointed my finger up, I then placed that drop of blood on the skeleton's skull. Soon, a faint halo of light condensed around the skeleton. Blue specks of light gathered from all around, forming a human figure above the skeleton. The soul art can gather scattered souls of the dead and make them reappear before the living. The price is that the user consumes a massive amount of spiritual power and energy, causing great harm to the body. A clear and pleasant female voice sounded, as shy and timid as she was back then. Time had aged, but she had not grown up. She remained at the flower-like age of 16. Chu Jian was stunned. He slowly looked up in disbelief. After seeing the young woman before him clearly, his pupils suddenly constricted. Ajia, I'm so happy to see you again. The young woman smiled, her eyes bright and teeth pearly, yet tears welled up in them. Chu Jian suddenly realized something. He hastily lowered his head, covering his face with his hands. That I'm so ugly now, he panicked. The princess gently touched Chu Jian's cheek and said, how is Ajian ugly? You're just as handsome as before. She said, I know it wasn't your intention for the Huajian kingdom to be destroyed. If there's a next life, I hope we can just be an ordinary couple. If there is a next life, please find me sooner, Ajian. Ajian, I'm about to disappear. Can you hug me? Chu Jian scrambled over and hugged her, crying and shouting, Your Highness, don't go. Don't leave me. The young woman shed a tear and whispered in his ear, Goodbye, my husband. Chu Jian tried to hug her again, but his hands passed through the young woman's body, embracing only air. One red and one orange. 2 carved coral beads fell to the ground, making a crisp sound. I asked in confusion, why did Chu Jian disappear too? Lu Qingji said, Chu Jian no longer had any attachment to this world, so he followed the princess. What a devoted couple, I thought. Suddenly, I felt a wave of dizziness and slowly collapsed. I had sealed my cultivation before entering the illusionary realm, and now I was a bit exhausted. Lu Qingji grabbed my wrist and checked it carefully. After learning that I had overexpended my spiritual power, his tone became much colder. For 2 irrelevant people, you've nearly exhausted all the spiritual power in your body. Junior sister, you truly have the heart of a bodhisattva. Have you ever considered yourself? I held his hands with both of mine, looking gently at the person before me. I carefully asked if he was angry. He looked at me with a blank expression, making my heart feel a little flustered. I saw him forcefully fling my hand away. I looked at his action in surprise. He squatted down and picked up the 2 sparkling beads from the ground. I watched him from behind, thinking he was definitely angry. I steadied him and said, Don't be angry. Don't I still have you by my side? I'll be fine. He grabbed my hand and then pulled hard. I felt a sense of weightlessness and cried out as I fell towards him. He caught my waist and then suddenly kissed my lips. My eyes widened as I looked at him, mumbling for him to let go immediately. Then I placed my hands on his chest, wanting to push him away. But he immediately held my hands, restraining me, and deepened the kiss with more force. While kissing me passionately, he transferred some spiritual power to me through his mouth. He said angrily, "If you act recklessly again without regard for your own body, then I'll punish you this way from now on." He clearly wanted to show concern, but the words that came out were full of harshness. Although he used the wrong method, I couldn't be too hard on him. Yuan Emoli woke up and asked what we were doing. She thought to herself that we were so close, and our faces were so red. I quickly leaned in front of her and said, "Junior sister, since you're awake, let's leave this place. We'll talk about everything else back at the inn." Outside, the cold wind still blew. It suddenly started to snow. We returned to the inn and saw Peiyu eating. He shouted to us, calling us over to his table. Xiao Chan said that the imperial palace was very strange. They fainted not long after entering. He asked us why we came back so late and what had happened. I said that everything here was related to General Chu from the storybook. He wanted to use a trap of 10,000 lives to resurrect the princess. But the instigator was not General Chu, but the Grand Preceptor of the Huajian Kingdom. For some reason, Lu Chengji got angry again. He said coldly, "Junior brother, hurry up and eat. It won't be good if the food gets cold." Then he brought a piece of fish to my mouth, telling me to try it. He said with a smile that he had already removed the bones. I took the fish and chewed on it. Then I said with certainty, "It's quite delicious." Yuan Emoli secretly thought, "That bitch. How dare she try to steal my man?" Encouraged, Lu Chengji suddenly filled my bowl to the brim. I quickly told him not to give me any more food and to eat it himself. Yuan Emoli picked up a cup of tea and said she hadn't thanked me for saving her life yet. This cup of tea was a small token of her appreciation, and she hoped I wouldn't mind. I took the cup and was about to drink, thinking that this female lead was quite sensible. But Lu Chengji snatched the cup away and poured the tea on the ground. He said with disgust that her cup was dirty. The tea steamed as it hit the ground. Lu Chengji said the tea was not clean, and he told me to drink his water, saying cattily that he didn't think Miss Yuan would mind. Yuan Emoli's face darkened. She wondered what was so good about me. In terms of figure and appearance, I was not as outstanding as her. Why did Lu Chengji dote on me so much? She stood up and said she was full and would go upstairs to rest first. Lu Chengji watched Yuan Emoli's departing figure with a serious and thoughtful expression. Because the beds in the inn rooms were rather small, everyone had their own room. The moment Lu Chengji closed his door, he felt something was off in his room. He sniffed a subtle fragrance in the air. Lu Chengji's long eyelashes drooped, casting a small shadow beneath his eyes. He glanced towards the bed from the corner of his eye, thinking that a mouse had gotten into the room. That fragrance grew stronger, tempting one to sin. He stared at the tightly drawn bed curtains and slowly walked towards the bed. He lifted the raised quilt, revealing the alluring person inside. Her dark, silky hair barely covered her body, which was clad only in an inner shirt. Her beautiful eyes were now misty. Her gaze shifted, her longing and desire written plainly in them. Yuan Emoli's soft, boneless hands wrapped around Lu Chengji's waist, feeling his firm muscles. With tears in her eyes, she said, "Do you understand my feelings?" She now felt a burning heat all over her body. Where she touched Lu Chengji, a tingling pleasure spread. Her fair hand moved down his abdomen inch by inch, but was caught by Lu Chengji. She looked up in confusion, meeting Lu Chengji's blue-yellow eyes. He was clearly smiling, but the mockery and disgust in his eyes could not be hidden. He spoke with a grim face. "Having fun, Miss Yuan?" Yuan Emoli was shocked, thinking that she had clearly used Qinggu incense in the room. Any man who smelled it would be consumed by lust, unable to stop. Lu Chengji lifted Yuan Emoli's chin and said, "The ancient arts of the witch clan are despicable and vile, and have always been disdained by the world. Tell me, if I were to publicize your identity as a member of the witch clan, what would others think?" Yuan Emoli's originally muddled consciousness cleared up considerably. She trembled and begged Lu Chengji not to say anything. The man's voice was light and airy, like a ghost from hell coming to claim her life. "Today, in senior sister Zhang's teacup, I found a fuchsia vine. If you had used such methods on anyone else, I wouldn't have meddled. But you just had to touch the one person you shouldn't have." The sword plunged into her heart was slowly twisted, without a shred of mercy. Yuan Emoli's eyes filled with tears, the pain so intense she couldn't straighten her back. She tremblingly reached out and pulled on the sleeve of the hand holding the sword. The man pulled out the sword and leisurely wiped the blood from it with a handkerchief. He said coldly, "Next time, it will be your life." Without another look at the bleeding woman on the bed, Lu Qingji turned and pushed the door open. Yuan Emily thought to herself that it wasn't like this in her past life. I was staying in a room next to Lu Chengji's. He came out, concealed his entire aura, and entered my room. My biological clock is very punctual. I was already asleep. Sensing some movement, I groggily opened my eyes. I rubbed my eyes and asked drowsily, "Why are you here?" He tiptoed onto the bed and tucked me in. Lu Chengji buried his head in my hair and nuzzled me. I said, "Are you a puppy? This is a bad habit." He pushed his tongue against his cheek, a somewhat wicked smile on his face. I pushed him but couldn't move him. I said, "You misheard." Lu Chengji said aggrievedly, "I'm not clean anymore. A woman touched me. So by holding me like this, he be clean, is that it?" But considering my disciple's fragile, glass-like heart, I suppressed my temper and asked, "Where did she touch you?" He ended up crying that she touched his outer robe. Luo Chu, who was already grumpy from being woken up, was now even more furious. I threw Lu Chengji, quilt and all, off the bed, telling him to either sleep on the floor or go back to his own room. The person who was kicked off the bed obediently made his bed on the floor and sweetly said, "Good night, junior sister." The room was pitch black. Lu Qingji lay on the bed with his eyes closed. Suddenly, he felt the scent of an ice-cold orchid wash over him, lingering at the tip of his nose. He abruptly opened his eyes. I was lying next to him, not in my usual plain white robes, but in a light pink inner garment. Lu Qingji stared blankly at the person beside him, his breathing gradually becoming heavy, his throat a little dry. I extended a slender, pale finger and flirtatiously toyed with his sash, looking at him with a teasing smile and saying, "Tonight, Master will sleep with you." After speaking, I got up and straddled him, wrapping my slender white arms around his neck. Our breaths intertwined. Lu Qingji's fingers clenched so tightly his knuckles turned white. "Master, you're so close. If others find out, it would be improper." My robes were half open, the red doo-doo inside faintly visible. I said, "Heaven knows and earth knows. How would anyone else know? Haven't you long been madly in love with me? Now I'm in your arms. Why are you still so reserved? Besides, this is a once-in-a-lifetime chance. If you miss it, you miss it." I pretended to get up, but was pulled back by a pair of hands T.O.-die under a peony flower. One is a romantic, even as a ghost. The world spun, and I found myself sitting on Lu Chengji's lap. My waist was held tight, my chin resting in the crook of his neck. His arms held me tightly, as if trying to carve me into his body. Lu Qingji gritted his teeth in my ear, saying, "It was Master who seduced me first." Under the moonlight, I smiled and went to kiss his lips. It didn't last 2 seconds. Lu Qingji's mind was in chaos. He turned from passive to active, tangling with me in a deeper kiss. He kissed me endlessly with his eyes closed, murmuring how much he liked me. Then he got up and untied his own clothes, looking at me with a green-eyed look of surrender. His body pressed down, and he called my name passionately. "The spring night is short. We should be doing something." Then he kissed my forehead, wanting to take things further. In the quiet, dark night, there was movement under the quilt. Lu Chengji held me, calling my name passionately over and over. With a red face, I trembled and called his name. Lu Qingji moved up and down on top of me. I felt like I was drifting in the ocean. Suddenly, he fiercely intertwined his fingers with mine, gripping my small hand tightly. "Master is too sweet. I really want to just sink into this." Lu Qingji woke up with a flushed face. The sky was just beginning to lighten. It really was a dream. The aphrodisiac incense the woman used still had some effect on him to make him have such a dream. At that moment, I was sleeping soundly in bed. He looked at the sleeping me and smiled with a sense of loss. Then he came to the bedside and caressed my cheek, thinking, "Master, what is your disciple to do now?" He got up, still wanting more, and gently kissed the cheek of the sleeping me on the bed. A scream came from outside the room, startling me awake. Lu Chengji said it seemed like something had happened outside. He was just about to call me to get up and see what was going on. Then he brought my clothes, draped them over me, and told me to get dressed quickly. Hearing the scream, everyone hastily threw on their outer robes and ran towards the sound. I looked at the crowd gathered in front of the door, rubbing my eyes as I walked over to ask about the situation. Someone said that Peiyu had forced himself on Miss Yuan. My eyes widened in complete disbelief. Yuan Emily covered her naked body with a quilt, looked at the equally naked Peiyu on the bed, and screamed. She tried hard to recall last night's events. She had wanted to make a move on Liu Chengji. She lost consciousness. She vaguely remembered a man's hot body and heavy breathing. Yuan and Mo Li cried to everyone, saying they had to seek justice for her. At this point, she had to play the victim. I thought to myself that senior brother, Pei, didn't seem like the kind of person to do such a thing. Others said you can know a person's face, but not their heart. A burst of laughter came from outside the door, wanton and lazy. Liu Qingji walked in, a spring-like smile still on his lips. He said, "It might as well have been Miss Yuan who forced herself on Peiyu." Everyone couldn't believe such a shocking statement. Xiaoqin came out, blushing, and said everyone had misunderstood. The truth was not what everyone thought. Last night, he passed by senior brother Liu's door and heard her say, "It feels so good." From the sound of it, it didn't seem like she was unwilling. Yuan Mo Li's face was pale. Looking at the dried blood stain on the bedding, the hatred in her eyes grew. Everyone whispered that this was Liu Qingji's room. So why were Yuan Mo Li and Peiyu here? Liu Qingji said he slept in my room last night. As for why they were in his room, maybe they were looking for some excitement. Isn't that right, Miss Yuan? On the bed, Yuan Mo Li's eyes filled with tears upon hearing this. Her petal-like lips were bitten, leaving marks. The fingers clutching the corner of her clothes turned white. She truly looked pitiful and lovely, as expected of the female lead. Who wouldn't feel sorry for her looking like this? Liu Qingji said coolly, "Since nothing's wrong, let's disperse." He seemed to have no sympathy for the young woman on the bed. The female lead already has a man. Our Qingji is a pure and upright boy. I really wanted to shake Liu Qingji and tell him, never mind. It's better not to have this female lead anyway." As I turned around, I saw Yuan Mo Li looking at me with hatred in her eyes. Although it was only for a moment, I still managed to catch it. Yuan Mo Li stared viciously at our departing backs, thinking that she would definitely make us pay. The group searched for a whole day, but couldn't find the exit of the Netherworld ancient mirror. Many people were too tired to walk anymore. Suddenly, Xiaoqin stopped and pointed into the distance, telling everyone to look. Following his finger, we saw that there really seemed to be someone in the distant pavilion. I looked up at Liu Qingji and said, "Let's go take a look together." He turned to look at me and agreed. Then, I led the group to the old man's side. The white-bearded old man was playing Go by himself. He said, "You want to know where the exit of the Netherworld ancient mirror is, right?" I asked in pleasant surprise if he knew the exit. The old man said that whoever played a game of chess with him and one would be told the exit. If they lost, they would have to stay here and accompany him for the rest of their lives. Everyone looked at each other. It was obvious none of them knew how to play chess. Xiaoqin voluntarily stepped forward and said, "Why don't I give it a try?" The old man looked at him with disdain and said he wasn't needed. Then he pointed his finger at Liu Qingji and said, "It'll be him." My jaw dropped in shock. The old man said to let Liu Qingji play a game with him. It had been a long time since he met such an interesting person. Liu Qingji took the black stones. The old man took the white. The old man stroked his beard, bowing his head in thought. The two sat down and began their match. The others watched the game from the side. Suddenly, a voice asked, "You've fallen in love with your master, haven't you?" Liu Qingji's fingers, holding a black stone, moved slightly. He looked at me and saw that my expression was normal, focused on the chess game. Only then did he realize the old man was communicating with him telepathically. "You young man, you have a wicked heart. You can fool your master, but you can't fool me." As he spoke, the old man placed a white stone. He knew he was deliberately saying these things to disturb his mind, but he still couldn't help but think about matters concerning his master, unable to control his distraction. Falling in love with someone who doesn't belong to this world is a very serious matter. Not to mention, you still have half-demon blood flowing in your veins. Liu Qingji asked, "What do you mean, doesn't belong to this world?" But the old man said, "Your obsession is too deep. It has become a stumbling block on your path of cultivation. Sooner or later, it will drag you into an abyss. Your potential is far greater than what you have now. You might as well let her go. In the near future, you could become a being that can replace me." But Liu Qingji said nonchalantly, "No need." He said, The only thing I care about in this world is my master. If I can't be with her, what's the point of reaching the pinnacle of cultivation? If I can't be with her, it would be 1,000 times more painful than being in hell. What was there to be afraid of? To him, wherever master was, that was paradise. He had enough patience for his master. He believed that one day his master would understand. His long, jade-like fingers picked up another black stone from the ceramic jar and gently placed it in an inconspicuous position that a move made cannot be taken back. Senior, you have lost. The old man looked at the board, his face turning pale and then green. His pair of dark brown eyes stared at Lu Chung-E. In the future, if you wish to break this stalemate, it will surely be like these chess pieces with black and white reversed. The old man opened his hand, and a strong wind whipped up around him. A void-like door appeared out of thin air on the bridge. It grew larger as the old man cast his spell. Everyone looked at the door, dancing with joy. They could finally get out. I was just about to turn back and thank the old man. But there was no sign of the old man by the chessboard, and on the stone table, a green-carved coral bead lay quietly. The curtain lifted gently with the wind, carrying a sense of calm before the storm. Main Quest 5. Obtain Lu Qingji's heart's blood to heal Xiao Chun, and let Xiao Chun know about your forbidden love for him. System, tell me honestly, when did you develop a mental illness? You want me to dig out my beloved disciple's heart's blood to treat Xiao Chun? Isn't Xiao Chun standing right there perfectly fine? Just then, Xiao Chun was held hostage in the air by a person wearing a white cloak and a white mask. Everyone around, except for me and Lu Qingji, had collapsed on the ground in pain. Xiao Chun's feet were forced off the ground, his neck tightly gripped, his face abnormally red. He looked to be in great pain. I shouted for the white-robed person to let Xiao Chun go immediately. But what I was thinking was, this person's mask is identical to the Grand Preceptor of the Huajian Kingdom. The white-robed person, like a ghost, hid his body in the cloak and said with a laugh, "Give me those 3 beads, and I'll let Xiao Chun go." I instantly understood what the white-robed person was referring to. I tried to negotiate with him. You let him go first, and I'll give you the beads. Xiao Chun felt it was hard to breathe, as if his neck was about to be crushed. The white-robed person said coolly, "You're not qualified to bargain with me." The next second, I flew up, my sword unsheathed. I shouted, "How will we know if we don't try?" The white-robed person, unhurriedly, withdrew a hand and struck at the oncoming sword. The sword shattered. It scattered in all directions. Before I could react, the white-robed person turned sideways and struck his palm right at my chest. I was shocked and reacted quickly to counterattack. I thrust out a palm to meet his. I felt a surge of blood in my chest, and my internal organs felt like they were being torn apart. Blood spilled from between my teeth, and I lost consciousness, falling from the sky. Lu Qingji's pupils constricted. He hurriedly caught the falling person, the heartache in his eyes almost overflowing. The remaining people heard Lu Qingji shout, "Master," and were shocked. Could it be that senior sister Zhang was venerable Luo Chu in disguise? Lu Qingji held me, gently wiping the blood from the corner of my mouth. His knuckles were white, his face grim, and his blue-yellow eyes surged with dark waves. He gently picked me up and placed me to the side. When he looked up again, the aura around him was chilling. He looked at the white-robed person, his tone dangerous. "Those who harm my master shall die." I lay with my eyes closed, my brow furrowed, as if I had encountered something troublesome in my dreams. When I woke up, it was the morning of the 3rd day. The little cat happily came over and said to me, "You're finally awake." Boo-hoo-hoo. I thought I'd never see you again. The little cat clung to my arm, crying its eyes out. I pushed it away and said, "How did I get back? Where are Lu Qingji and the others?" It said, "You were unconscious at the time. You have no idea. The main villain was seriously injured trying to save you. Several of his meridians were severed, and he was covered in blood as he carried you to Changshan Peak, begging Mu Qinghua to treat you." As soon as I heard that Lu Qingji was seriously injured, my heart skipped a beat. The orange cat continued, "He woke up this morning. His recovery ability is very fast, so he's mostly fine now." I breathed a sigh of relief and said, "It's good that he's okay," but I felt like I had forgotten something. The system's prompt popped up again. It turned out the mission wasn't done yet. The orange cat slapped its head and said, "Xiao Chun was also injured. I hear his condition isn't very optimistic." Hearing this, I threw on a coat and rushed outside. If this mission dragged on any longer, I was going to be struck dead by heavenly lightning. As I went out, I ran into Lu Chengji carrying a bowl of medicine. He looked at me with pleasant surprise and said he had brewed medicine for me. I remembered the mission and hesitated for a moment. Gritting my teeth, I grabbed Lu Chengji's hand and said, "Come with master." We soon arrived at Changxing Peak. The air here was fresh and the scenery was beautiful. When I pulled Lu Qingji over, Xiao Chun was lying unconscious on the bed with a pale face. Mu Qinghua was taking his pulse with a worried expression. He said, "Venerable Luo Chu, your disciple's spiritual root has been injured, and his life is in danger. The only way is to have him drink the heart's blood of a cultivator with a complete spiritual root. In the entire Yunshang immortal abode, besides Xiao Chun himself, the only cultivator with a complete spiritual root is Lu Qingji." Lu Chengji's expression froze. He looked at my ice-cold expression, and his heart sank as if it had been plunged into an ice cellar. A disciple said that after the Venerable fell unconscious, Senior Brother Lu had frantically attacked the white-robed person. Senior Brother Lu was severely beaten, and his body has not yet recovered. I thought that after Lu Chengji gave his heart's blood, I would use the jade due to heal him, which could alleviate his injuries. But to the disciples present, it sounded like something else entirely. Compared to the life and death of Senior Brother Lu Qingji, Venerable Luo Chu cared more about the new disciple, Xiao Chun. She probably snuck into the netherworld ancient mirror for Xiao Chun's sake as well. Lu Qingji's hand trembled slightly, but he managed a faint smile. "Whatever Master wants, this disciple will get it from Master." Mu Qinghua spoke up. "In that case, I will take Lu Chengji to the next room to draw the blood. Please hurry. We can't delay any longer." I took Lu Chengji to the inner room, closed the door, and then spoke to Lu Qingji, "Take off your clothes." Lu Qingji thought he had misheard. His face turned red with shyness. I said, somewhat amused, "If you don't take off your clothes, how can I take your heart's blood? You were so shameless in the ancient mirror. I didn't see you being so reserved then." Lu Qingji slowly removed his clothes, one piece at a time falling to the floor, revealing his lean and bare chest. My eyes were glued to him, my cheeks burning. My disciple's body is too good. Those abs, that perky butt, that collarbone, those 1.8-meter long legs. No, I slapped myself. Now is not the time to be thinking about this. I pinched myself to clear my head. An exquisite short blade appeared in my hand. I said, "Taking heart's blood will be very painful. You'll have to bear with it." Lu Qingji smiled obediently. "If it's for Master, it won't hurt." My heart warmed slightly, and a strange feeling seemed to be budding. But if I don't dig out his heart's blood, I'll be struck dead by heavenly lightning. I leaned over his fair chest. The texture was smooth, and it felt surprisingly good. I swallowed hard, my fingers touching the spot over his heart. He looked down at my actions, his face blushing with shyness. "I'm sorry, I thought," and then ruthlessly stabbed down. Bright red, hot blood flowed out. The short blade continued to sink into his chest, revealing a bloody, struggling heart. I looked at the bulging veins and sweat on Lu Qingji's forehead and said with heartache, "Good disciple, it'll stop hurting soon, it'll stop hurting." Lu Qingji felt like a pervert with a dark heart. Master was clearly taking his heart's blood, but he was excited by my touch. Everywhere my fingertips touched, there was a tingling sensation. Finally, he couldn't hold on any longer and slowly collapsed. I quickly supported the weakened Lu Qingji. I comforted him. "It's okay now," my eyes full of heartache. The blood stained his lips, making him look somewhat more demonic and wild. He looked at me with tears in his eyes and spoke in a low voice. "All the good things were given by you. All the pain was also given by you. When will Master be able to give him love? The scenery today is very beautiful. The weather is also very good." I anxiously stood guard by Xiao Chen's side, thinking, it's already been a day. Why hasn't the male lead woken up yet? The cat said it looked like he wouldn't be waking up anytime soon. If I was really worried about Lu Qingji, I should go see him. Hearing this, I disappeared in a flash. The little cat told me his room wasn't far, and if anything happened here, it would immediately come find me. With a click, the door was closed behind me. The little cat thought, there's no need to be in such a hurry. Lu Qingji lay on the sickbed, his voice pained. His strong body revealed 2 large pectoral muscles. I gently caressed Chengji's face, looking at him with worry and great heartache. I said he had always been obedient and sensible, so I never had to worry much about him. He was always able to manage the affairs of Qingya Peak in an orderly manner. Chengji rubbed his face against my hand like a little cat. He mumbled, "Master, Master." I gently stroked his cheek, comforting him. "Don't be afraid. Master is here." I pondered thoughtfully, thinking that the situation was urgent before, and I didn't have time to think carefully. In a netherworld ancient mirror, when did Chengji discover my identity? Were his intimate actions directed at me or at Zhang Cixi? If he likes Zhang Cixi, does he like Zhang Cixi's appearance or the personality I displayed while pretending to be her? I thought, if he likes me, but I'll have to leave the world of the book eventually. What if he likes venerable Luo Chu's appearance? I scratched my head and told myself to wake up. It's definitely not like that. I thought, I can't figure it out anyway. I might as well hurry up and feed Chengji the jade dew. I gently lifted Chengji's body to give him the dew water, coaxing him, drink this, and the wounds on your body will heal quickly. But the water slowly trickled out of his mouth. He couldn't drink it at all. I thought, Chengji is too badly injured. He can't drink on his own. I gritted my teeth and thought, forget it, I'll just go all out. I picked up the jade dew, tilted my head back, and took all the dew water into my mouth. Then I leaned down and fed it to Chengji, bit by bit, from my mouth to his. I thought, Master dotes on you so much, you better not kill me in the future. Lu Chengji made a swallowing motion, gulping down the medicinal water mixed with my saliva. I wiped my mouth, very happy. I thought, thankfully he drank it all. Not a single drop was wasted. With just a few more days of rest, his body should be able to recover. Unexpectedly, he reached out and grabbed my hand. I thought, what's going on? How is he awake? He pulled me over, and I fell onto his body. We were face to face, able to hear each other's breathing. He closed his eyes and kissed me again. He kissed me and said, please don't abandon me. I thought, if I push him away now, will it hurt him again? I gently pushed him away and said to him, all right, Chengji. Then Chengji released his hand. I shyly wiped my mouth. Chengji passed out again after the kiss. He really used a lot of strength for that kiss. I thought, this child must be delirious with fever. I frantically covered my face and ran out. Unexpectedly, Yuan Emoli was hiding in a corner and saw everything. She thought, I never expected the cold and aloof venerable Luo Chu to do something as improper as seducing her own disciple. Then she slowly walked out from the corner and came to Lu Chengji's bed. Yuan Emoli looked at Lu Chengji lying on the bed and thought, in a netherworld ancient mirror, you master and disciple pair slept in the same room every day. No wonder he would stab me with a sword for her. It was all for that bitch Luo Chu. Yuan Emoli gently caressed Lu Chengji's chest, thinking that Lu Chengji was actually willing to offer his heart's blood for Luo Chu. Yuan Emoli said with a sinister smile, if Luo Chu finds out you've fallen to the demonic path, will you two still have a good ending? Yuan Emoli took out a bone-like object from her bosom, thoughtfully considering what to do. She approached Lu Chengji step by step. It turned out to be a soul-devouring bone, capable of stimulating the evil thoughts in a person's heart. As long as she dissolved her blood into the soul-devouring bone and injected it into Lu Chengji's body, once he fell to the demonic path, the relationship between master and disciple would collapse on its own. It turned out that this was something the masked Grand Preceptor had given to Yuan Emoli, instructing her that as long as things got back on track, Lu Chengji would be hers. He said, Lu Chengji fought me to the death for Luo Chu. You must be jealous, right? Hearing this, Yuan Emoli hesitated, but these words seemed to speak to her heart, making her waver. The Grand Preceptor told her, Luo Chu stole the love that should have been yours. This soul-devouring bone can help you get everything you want. Yuan Emoli hesitated again and again, but finally accepted the soul-devouring bone and said to the Grand Preceptor, I agree. Yuan Emoli used the soul-devouring bone to inject her blood into Lu Chengji's body. Wisps of black smoke began to rise from Chengji's body. Yuan Emoli used the soul-devouring bone to cut Chengji's skin, and blood trickled from his wound. Lu Chengji's whole body emitted a sizzling heat as if he were a boiling pot. Yuan Emoli stroked Lu Chengji's temple, thinking, why should Luo Chu get Lu Chengji's love? I stood guard by Xiao Chen's side, thinking, didn't the male lead use Chengji's heart's blood? Why hasn't he woken up yet? As soon as I thought that, Xiao Chen slowly opened his eyes, but his breath was still very weak. I asked him, Xiao Chen, you're finally awake. How are you feeling now? Xiao Chen sat up and said he was fine, thanking me for my trouble during this time. I said, it's good that you're okay. I actually have something I want to tell you. He said, Master, please speak your mind. I said, a little embarrassed. Do you think Master treats you well? Xiao Chun was a bit confused. He said, Master is naturally very good to this disciple. I said, what if I told you that I took you as a disciple, ventured into the netherworld ancient mirror together, and even dug out your senior brother Lu Chengji's heart's blood to save you, all because I'm in love with you? Xiao Chun found my words unbelievable. He said, Master, what are you saying? I backed him step by step into the bed. He said that a love between a master and disciple is against ethics. I followed the script, repeating the following lines one by one. Xiao Chun said, Master, are you joking with me? Xiao Chun said he was a bit confused and wanted to be alone for a while. I said, Master knows this is hard for you to accept right now. Think it over carefully. I said to Xiao Chun, your current status and title were all given to you by me. You're a sensible child, so don't let me down. Xiao Chun was so scared he curled up in the bed, trembling and saying, Disciple understands. At this moment, the system reminded me that main quest 5 was complete and I had received the reward. I thought, it's finally done. I should go see Chengji while there's still time. I walked out breathlessly. Lu Chengji left, completely speechless. Lu Chengji sat blankly on the steps alone. It was a bit chilly outside. The leaves rustled in the wind. The wind blew through his long hair as he seemed to be thinking about something. I said to him, your wound hasn't healed yet. How can you wear so little? And it's not good to sit on these cold steps. Hurry back inside. Lu Chengji didn't speak, just stared at me with a dark expression. I noticed Lu Chengji's expression was a bit strange. I asked him what was wrong, why he was looking at me like that. Lu Chengji asked me why I was so good to him. I said, a teacher for a day is a mother for a lifetime. I see you as my own child. Lu Chengji muttered to himself. A teacher for a day is a mother for a lifetime. Obviously, he was not very satisfied with my answer. As if he had been provoked, he repeatedly slapped his own forehead. He laughed out loud with a blank expression. What a mother for a lifetime. I looked at the trembling Lu Chengji, thinking, how did a perfectly fine child suddenly become a lunatic? I looked at him in shock, speechless. Lu Chengji stood up and said to me, Master, you don't understand at all. I took Chengji's hand, wanting to comfort him. I said, Chengji, what are you talking about? Lu Chengji's hand broke free from mine. This was the first time he had actively let go of my hand. He turned his head and said to me, Master, please go back. His expressionless words scared me. He said he was tired and wanted a rest. I looked at Chengji's back in disbelief, silently watching him and calling out, Cheng. I also turned my head and said to him, then rest well. Master will come see you again tomorrow. I took one step and then stopped, freezing with a jolt. I secretly glanced back at him, but he didn't look back at me. I was truly speechless. Then I reached out and took his hand. I said to him, let's go inside. I'm not at ease. I still want to stay with you. Lu Chengji seemed to be moved by my words. He said shyly. I accompanied him back to the room and covered him with a quilt. He was happy, thinking that I must still care about him. He patted his head and said, what a mother for a lifetime. I said, now this is more like my good disciple. Looking at the scene before me, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. I thought that the momentary feeling of madness must have been my illusion. He held my hands tightly and placed them on his chest. He looked at me dotingly, murmuring, Master. I asked him what was wrong. He snuggled against me, rubbing back and forth. I said, what is it you want? I said, you're such a big person. Why are you still acting like a child? He held my hands nervously, as if he had something to say. Before he could finish, he was interrupted. Someone knocked on the door from outside, saying, something terrible has happened. Xiao Chun has fainted. I shot up to my feet, thinking, how did the male lead faint? Lu Chengji pulled my arm and said to me, Master, please don't go, okay? I looked at Lu Chengji before me and began to feel conflicted. At this moment, the person outside urged again, hurry and check on Xiao Chun. I thought if something happens to the male lead, it will be hard to explain to the system. I patted Chengji's shoulder and comforted him like a child. Be good, Cheng. I comforted him, saying I would come see him again tomorrow. Lu Chengji said reluctantly, don't. I hurriedly turned and walked outside. Lu Chengji reached out to stop me, calling my name. Because I was very worried that something might happen over there, I hurriedly slammed the door shut. Lu Chengji sat on the bed like a sick little chick, muttering that Master didn't even look at him. At this moment, another voice came out. It said to Chengji, your master doesn't love you at all. Lu Chengji threw off his quilt and cursed, get out. Get out of my body right now. A black shadow loomed beside him. It said that no one in this world understood Lu Qingji better than it did. It told Lu Qingji that as long as he didn't reject it, he could merge with it. When that time comes, the entire cultivation world will be trampled under Lu Qingji's feet. The Black Shadow said to him, "You were listening outside the door to his confession to Xiao Chun. It must have been painful, wasn't it?" Lu Qingji clutched his head in agony, saying that his master was his. Lu Qingji cried out in pain, saying that his master could only belong to him. The Black Shadow continued to add fuel to the fire, saying, "Stop deceiving yourself. Your master has already chosen Xiao Chun and abandoned you." Lu Qingji muttered to himself, "Master was so righteous and valued loyalty when he took me as his disciple. Why did he fall for someone else after I fell in love with him?" The more Lu Qingji thought about it, the angrier he became. He slammed his fist heavily on the ground. He said that no one could take his master away from him. He was so angry that all the hairs on his body stood on end. He shouted, "Absolutely not." When I rushed back to Xiao Chen's room, the system asked me why I had returned. I told it that I heard Xiao Chun had fainted and rushed back to check on him. The cat jumped on my shoulder and said, "That's impossible. I just came from there and saw he was still taking a bath." I suddenly broke out in a cold sweat, realizing that something must be wrong. The person behind me launched an attack. I warily blocked it. I asked who it was, then pointed my finger at him. Then, he turned into a cloud of black mist and gradually dissipated into the air. A voice echoed from the air, saying, "We'll meet again." I thought to myself, I've fallen for a trick to lure the tiger away from the mountain. I hurriedly turned around and ran back. I thought they deliberately lured me away. Could it be to deal with Lu Qingji? I hastily called out Qingji's name, then urgently pushed open his door. Lu Qingji was sitting on the bed, looking at me. He asked why I was in such a hurry. I went to his bedside and asked him if anyone else had been there just now. Lu Qingji hugged me and said that he had just seen a black shadow outside the house. Before he could chase after it, Master came in. I thought to myself, what is this black shadow? Could it be a mole from the demon clan? Lu Qingji said his injuries hadn't healed yet, and he was a little scared. I comforted him, saying there was nothing to be afraid of. I thought to myself, for his safety, I should stay the night. Then I tucked him in. Qingji asked if I could sleep with him. I said it was improper for a master and disciple to share a bed. Qingji said, if masterminded, then we could use Amar to separate us. Qingji lowered his head and said I'd been working very hard these past few days, and he wanted me to get a good night's sleep. Qingji turned his head away and said, if you're not willing, then just forget it. I gently lifted his blanket and slipped into his bed. I pinched his cheek and told him, you're still injured. Get some rest. Lu Qingji and I rested quietly under the same blanket. Suddenly, Lu Qingji opened his eyes as if he had remembered something. He gently caressed my cheek. I was already asleep by then. He sat up and looked at me, wanting me to be his forever.